Hello everybody, welcome into my latest live video. If you can see me, I'm back over here. It's Friday. It means it's going to be a build day, and today it is the 4th. It's the 4th of October 2024. My name is CareyHolzman, and I'm going to do something I said I wasn't going to be doing much of anymore, and that is doing these really over-the-top, ridiculous big builds. And that's because financially it just doesn't make any sense. You know, you'll spend $2,000 on a build and make $200 on the video. That don't work anymore. And then maybe you can make it up when you sell the computer to somebody, but then nobody's buying. So, or something this big and heavy is too difficult and too expensive to ship. And then if you do ship it, there's potential damage and ongoing never-ending support. So in this case, we were left in a situation that was quite unique. We had purchased these MSI Meg boards. They were on sale for 200 bucks. They're normally a $600 motherboard, Z690. And believe they're 14900K, 96 gigs of DDR5, a 4 terabyte Samsung 990. And that was supposed to go to upgrade the black helicopter that Mara uses for all the work and background administration stuff she does here, including creating the thumbnails, like check out today's thumbnail that she made. And so she always wants the most amount of storage and RAM and power at all times, and as much RGB as you can cram in there, even if it causes seizures. So I thought, you know, because of the move that sort of interrupted everything, and while we're still not moved in here entirely, we're about 10% of 15% of the way through organization, still have a long way to go. It occurred to me that the Intel 15th gen chips are going to be out in a couple weeks. It wouldn't be just my luck to put all the effort into doing this top of the line upgrade, only as soon as I finish it to have the new top of the line replace it immediately within hours of me setting it all back up. So I started thinking about how am I going to do this? And through your generosity, through your memberships, through the generosity of our super members like Buster, Oystein, Frankie B, Paul Gray, your super chats, your generosity has enabled us to go ahead and make some investments into things that we know we're going to lose money on. But if it's making the content that you guys enjoy, then the next problem I have is what to do with it when it's done. So today's build, I think what we're going to end up doing is we're going to take the black helicopter down. We're going to retire it. Mara will take this new computer as her temporary replacement. And then, well, we've got the black helicopter down. I can dust it, start getting it dismantled. And then when the latest, greatest 15th gen CPU and motherboards come out, then we'll set that one up. And then we'll get this one back and she'll get the black helicopter back. So at the end, when this is all said and done in a few months, this will be back, and I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it. But this is a very large case, and I'm actually relieved it's not as big as I was afraid it was going to be. This is made by a company called Cougar. And Cougar, they make the big robot's foot. They've made a few other pretty unusual cases. Actually, the Cougar Mesh 410 was a pretty good standard old business case, quite frankly. But I've had... my feelings about Cougar are a little mixed. I like them and I don't like them. And so the reason is there's an inconsistency with them. One case can be great, one case could be meh. Part quality could be great on one thing they make, part quality could be meh on something else they make. When I received the case, I was delighted that it wasn't as big and heavy as I was afraid it was going to be. It's one of these fish tank cases that comes with 1, 2, 3, 4 installed, yeah, there's 4 RGB fans in here. And I have a Cougar branded all-in-one cooler that I bought a while back that can go in here, and a Cougar branded 850 watt power supply that can also go in here. Cougar is not sponsoring us in any way. As far as I know, Cougar doesn't even know we exist. But I think the parts to keep them all in the same family are going to look good. And a while back, we bought, when I say we, I mean Mara, bought a 3090 Ti, one of the last graphics cards made by EVGA. I don't know if we've ever cut the tape on this box. But since she's rocking, I think she's got a 3080 in there now, in the black helicopter. The Apache, you know, the thermal take helicopter case. I'm not quite sure what we're going to be doing on a graphics card for that. You know, a 4080 is like $1,200, so I don't know. But the 50 series is going to be out. So we're just kind of postponing that because it seems like we're really close. Once you get towards the end of the year, you got CES, the Consumer Electronics Show, rolling out. Companies like to push for that final, you know, you'll see AM5 9000 series will be released. Intel's 15th gen is going to be released. It's all going to happen right around that, just in time, coincidentally, for Christmas shopping and for showing off at the Consumer Electronics Show in that first week of January. So that's what I suspect is going on. Now, the other day, we had the motherboard out over here, and we just put this cooler on it just to get it prepped. That cooler's coming off, and we'll clean the thermal paste. And let me show you what we're using for today's parts. So let me go over to my screen share, which I have. This should do it right here. There we go. So this is Cougar's website, and all of these links are in the video notes below today's video. This is the case in white with a number of different angles. This case apparently does not come with any fans. You'll notice there's a little fan right down there, kind of angled up, which is kind of cool. And if you want to, you can cover that little fan up with a platform. And that little platform covers that fan, and it's a spinning platform. And you can showcase a figurine or something you want inside the case as decorative. I could put my Funko of me in there and have it spin around 360 nice and slow as like a little rotating, what do they call that on The Price is Right on game shows? They have a name for that. Anyway, coming over here to Amazon, you'll see this is the case we bought, and this is where we bought it. $199, fair price for a case that includes those 4 RGB fans and a case as big as this. And notice the front of the case, it kind of looks like it's surfing. Subtle. A lot of people may not notice that right at first. They call it the Prism of Light. Apparently they've got a bunch of orange fans and orange RGB. There's a little bit about the airflow. There's a little figurine on the little platform. The platform is sold separately for $25 if you want to buy it. And then they have it in black and in white. The motherboard we're using is the MSI Mace Z690 Mace, the MSI Meg Z690 Ace. This is a, wow, the price dropped. It's only $304. When this was new, this was about $600. And we picked them up through some deal. They were $200 clearing them out, but they don't have any video output on them. They really fully expect you to buy a video card for this. If you have to use video out, you've got to use a USB-C to DisplayPort or HDMI cable. And my mistake when I was experimenting with this is I was plugging in that USB-C cable on one of these 2 USB-Cs, but those are Thunderbolt ports. And as our good friend Planet Cryos pointed out, I needed to be plugged in over to the actual USB-C, which is right down here towards the top of the motherboard. So, lesson learned, I know that from now on, and you know, all the more reason to throw a graphics card in there. We're also putting in the i9-14900K because that's just really pretty much the best we can get today on the consumer side within reason. We're going to throw in the Cougar Helor CPU liquid cooler, which has the little fan on front of it, little flowing fan. And it's not really so much there as decoration. If the fan is turning, that means the fluid inside the pump is moving. So I like that. I like to see that fan turning. That lets me know that my pump motor hasn't died. I don't have to wonder, is fluid moving through? If that fan's not turning, your fluid's not moving. The the FDW3. This is our graphics card, 390 Ti. Yeah, $1,500. I think she paid $1,900 for it when it came out. I'm surprised they're still available, but that's a whole generation behind, and we still haven't taken it out of the box. Power supply, I have this power supply. It's a 850 watt, which should be enough, I think, for a 3090 Ti and this build. I think we're right there. Probably going to use 750, and I think we've got 100 watts of overhead with this build as is. If we go to anything 40 or 50, we're probably going to want at least 850, and probably have another 100, 150 on top of that just for buffer. So anyway, that's what we're using there. We've got the CORSAIR Vengeance DDR5. There's 2 sticks, 48 gigs each, right there. $270 for the RAM. And finally, we've got a Samsung 990 Pro. This is a 4 terabyte Gen 4. Remember, this is a 690 chipset, not a 790. So this is a pretty high-end, fast Gen 4, large, cavernous, capacious 4 terabytes, and you know, almost $300 just for that. I mean, just the RAM and the storage, you know, we're looking at $500. The case, another $325 with the rotating dial. The CPU, what is that going for these days? $462 plus the motherboard, $300. It's about a $2,000 build, basically. So we're not going to be doing this very often because, well, we can't keep spending $2,000 to earn back $200. I don't think the math on that's too hard. But it doesn't mean we're not going to do it at all. We obviously have to do it less often, specifically when we have a need for it, such as I've just described, or if a customer were to order it. But just for the fun of the channel, unless the revenue increases to make that a viable thing, we'll be focusing more on, you know, more reasonable items that you may be interested in, from networking and mini PCs to laptops and networking, routers, switches, explaining the difference in wiring and how to set things up and configure them for network sharing, printer sharing, file sharing. So we got a lot to discuss well outside of building. And you know, it's not just me. I'm looked around at other PC building channels, and I shouldn't complain. I'm actually doing quite well compared to them. So it's just what the culture, the interest of the viewer just seems to have changed. So in any event, that's what we're doing today. Let me say hello to everybody that's joining us. Let's go back over here to my chat room. Hello to everybody in chat. Good to see you all. A couple of contributions came in. A shout out and a thank you to our friend Buster. 10 pounds contributed. He says, good evening, Carey and Marlena and everyone in the chat. All the best from Bonnie, Scotland, where the temperature in Edinburgh is 54 degrees Fahrenheit, which is 12 degrees Celsius. Nick Caffrey renews his membership. He says, soon I'm going to be 1 year old. Yeah, you're at 9 months. Dom Parada with $9.99 in Super Chat. Thank you, Dom. Nick Caffrey with €5 in Super Chat says, hi, Carey and Marlena. 59 degrees Fahrenheit or 16 degrees Celsius here in West Cork, Ireland, waiting for a storm. Maureen Korich became a new supporter, a new member to our tech club. Welcome in, Maureen. Captain Blinsky was $7.77. Thank you, Captain Blinsky. Gregory Howard renews membership, now a member for 13 months. He says, hey, Carey, Mara, and all in the chat, have a good day. Well, right on, back at you. And thank you guys, all of you, so much for your generosity and support. And all our friends in green there in the chat room, thank you all for being members and supporting the channel. A shout out to our friends at Acronis. Without them and RoboForm and VIP CDK deals, this video would not have been possible with their additional support. So we certainly thank them for that. Let's see. Charlie Purdy's joining us in the chat room. Chris Johnson says hello. Michael Sayers and John Williams, Dustin Fuller and Luke Greenia, 3D Everything, Richard DeFries, Patrick Manny and David Graham all joining us. Say hello. David Herzog, Arnold Schmidt, Scott W. Denton, Mortant 1210 joins us and says hello. Gabriel Granados says hello. There's Michael Shaw. He says hello. Michael Warner, Edward Falong. Claudio Ventura says hello from Portugal. Ray Sudbury says hello. Yeah. Now my challenge is going to be how I'm going to build it on this little tiny workbench I've got. I think somebody's setting off all of my security cameras. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. Let's see. Oh, William Denton sent in a $40 super Amazon gift card. Carrie and Marlena, he says, thanks for your programming. Are we programming you? Right on. Thank you for supporting us. And yeah, let's hope whatever Mara's doing outside will stop alerting all my cameras. All right. So the first thing I need to do to prep this is the video card is going to be one of the very last things we install. And I sure would like to get that put in before the end of the show today. And we've not had much luck with this in the past because builds like this can take 2 to 3 times longer. So let me just put this, I'll just put it under here. Now I've got the motherboard right here. This is not a roll of paper towels. That is our Deco Wi-Fi mesh point that we're using here in Studio C to get us our internet access. Now, when it comes to disassembly, my understanding is all of these panels just pull off. Like I don't think there's any screws. And the reason I say that is I see indentations here, here, and here. So I think if I put my thumb in there and pull, maybe not a thumb, pull it towards me, yeah. This is going to be challenging because I'm going to have to find a place to set this down where it won't get knocked over or scratched. Let's go. There we go. And then just lift it straight up. That's a pretty common mounting technique. And now I have to find a place to put this. Let's go there. I think this piece right here, I think it, same thing. I think you pull it from the top. Pull it from the top. Yeah. So the whole curved glass piece gets pulled away, and then you lift it straight up. Like so. Oh boy, now I got to figure out how I'm going to set that down without breaking it. Well, wish me luck. Hopefully I don't walk into that during the show today. All right, so that gets us this far open. This part here should come off the same as the glass. Yeah, it does. I am quickly running out of room. And we have this final piece here, which, yep, same as the others. Just pull it off from the top and then lift it from the bottom. So now it's completely exposed all the way around. Oh, I think the top comes up too. You know what? I see the little notch on it. Does it just pull? Yeah, it sure does. So I'm just grabbing from that little notch and pulling up. Yeah, they've got little metal nubs that stick out. And now it doesn't even have a hat on. All right, so there you go. There is the top of the case with our ports and switches. And I see these fans have these protective pieces of plastic on them here. See, there's a little green tab, and we peel that off. The one down here, there's a fan down here, does not have that, but the one in the back does. But I'm glad they have pull tabs, because that made that super easy. I think Andy joined the show late. Andy, please rewind the show from the beginning as I explain why we're building this today. Now, when we look at a couple of things I noticed right out of the gate, we have an adjustable piece here to support the weight of the graphics card. That's right built in. That's very obvious what it's for. I guess you loosen this thumb screw, and this whole piece can slide up or down to hold your graphics card in place. Since we're putting that heavy 3090 Ti in there, I like that. I don't like the little independent, what would you even call it? It's almost like a little unipod, not a tripod, just a single pogo stick. And I just think, you know, that's going to tip over. There's nothing securing it. That's locked in place. Once you tighten that down, it's not going anywhere. That'll prevent your video card from sagging. Coming around the back, we got some really nice cable management. Look at that. Look at how they've got all this. Ooh. All right, as far as getting a power supply in here, it looks like, well, you know what? They've got something written down here, but it looks like this whole piece comes out. I better read that little piece of paper before I continue. For that, I need my glasses. The restraint bracket is used to prevent the air guide shroud from detaching. The restraint bracket. During transportation, it can be removed during installation. The restraint bracket. Oh, so what they're referring to, there's this little bracket right here. I don't know how well the camera's going to pick it up, but it's holding this piece down. And I guess they're saying you want to make sure that that piece is in when you're shipping. It prevents all your cables from flying up and hitting stuff. You've got a hole cut out right here to power your graphics card straight up. You've got cutouts all the way in the back. If you see these cutouts like this, you know this is a motherboard. I'm sorry, this is a case that will support a motherboard that has all the connections in the rear, like our Project Zero. It will fit in these holes right where I'm running my finger. Not these up here, these down here, and they go all the way around the motherboard tray. And then this piece back here, this bracket, you would take this off if you needed to get behind the CPU to change out a cooler. But this would house what looks like a couple SS 2.5-inch drives, or maybe a couple 3.5-inch drives right here. 3.5-inch might be too thick. Definitely 2.5-inch drives will fit there. And then, is there a hard drive cage? I think maybe. I mean, I don't use 3.5-inch hard drives anymore, so it don't bother me, but usually it's pretty obvious when it's got them. I guess it's this piece here. These holes say H, which I'm guessing is HDD. These holes say S, which I guess is SSD. So it looks like one hard drive or two SSDs, which more appropriately saying one 3.5-inch drive or one or the other, two 2.5-inch drives. All right, what do you think of that so far? It looks like it's going to be easy to work in. I don't know how much further I can break this down, or whether or not I want to. I mean, to get my power supply in, if I want to come in from here, which is weird, I guess I just turn this screw. And that just comes out, and it's got little hinges on it, like a little door. Isn't that interesting? So we can remove that and put our power supply in. I don't think I need to remove this this top piece here. I can, I just don't think I have to. With regards to that floating platform, it is sold separately and it ships separately, and they just both happened to arrive yesterday, which is why this video was not planned yet, because we hadn't gotten all the parts. These parts weren't supposed to arrive till Saturday. So for once, something got delivered early. So this is the rotating platform, which is an option. You can choose to use it or not. I don't think you take the fan out. I think that uses the RGB from the fan. I don't know. I really don't know. I'll just put that over there for now. What do the instructions say? So it's just snap it in. Okay, well, if I snap it in, where does it get power to rotate? Oh, does the fan rotate it? Oh, no. I see. It's got a little pad connector here. That makes me feel better. So it is a motorized rotating platform. I wouldn't want the platform to speed up and slow down as the fan goes faster. Now, does that mean the fan comes out? I bet the fan does come out. So then I would have to remove this bracket right here that's holding the fan in place. And again, the fan we're talking about, it's on an angle. I kind of like the fan, personally, better than the platform. And it has a filter, an air filter right here that you would clean out from time to time from dust. That little tiny filter, isn't that cute? Now if I can put that back in, working completely blind on a case I've never seen before in my life, wouldn't that be wonderful? But no, I'm gonna have to look and see, where does that go? Just like that. So if we take out this thumb screw here, aha, it's all starting to add up now. So we take that out, and you'll see this piece springs up like so. This is the little bracket they're referring to, and that essentially holds down both this piece and this fan. You see that? When I push it, it clicks in. The fan clicks in, clicks out, and I just lift it up. And I bet you it's using the same little pad connector to power it. Yeah, no wires. So it has the pad connector right here. There's your power and RGB right there. And then, you know, if you change your mind, you put this back in. It's not going to fit on anything else, you know. So then we grab our rotating platform. Now, inside of here, you can see the filter now from the inside out. And you can also see the, am I doing this right? If you look right down in there, you can also see the circuit board that's in there that we're attaching to. And so what we're going to do is we're just going to set this piece. It's got little lip on this side. That's going to go in here. I put the lip in first and then let it sit down and lock it in. That is installed now. So from that point forward, it's going to use the power that was powering the fan to power a motor to rotate and alight this little platform. If you want to use that to showcase a figurine or, I don't know, picture of me. Could happen. All right. So in the meantime, I think I can put this back on. I don't see why I would leave it off, but I guess we'll leave it off. I'm just running out of room to put stuff. I especially don't want to lose this little bracket right here. Now the case also, I need to mention, when you open the box to this case, inside you'll find a little plastic tool or screw organizer, parts organizer, which includes some zip ties, some rubber grommets, a few extra the little plastic clips that everything, you know how I'm pulling everything off, it clicks into these little plastic things, and they can dry out and break over time. So they give you 2 extras of those. We've got all of our screws, and in this box, I have no idea what's in here. Probably hard drive brackets. Yeah. So that's the hard drive bracket there. And what's this? Documentation. Look at the documentation. It's pretty good. That's it. So that's all that's in there. So again, I'm not putting any 3.5-inch drives in this. I'm sure you can use this for a 2.5-inch drive. We're just going NVMe all the way. Less cable management, faster speeds. What's not to like? I mean, if you're going to spend this kind of money, why would you go cheap on your drives? Doesn't make sense. Okay. I'll set all this aside over here in case I need to reference it. And this little bracket piece, I don't want to lose this piece. So where can I set it where I'm going to lose it later? I'll just keep it with the little parts. How about that? Okay. There's your instructions for your rotating platform. 2 steps. Great instructions. So worth it. So glad I took the time to read them. All right. Let's see what you're saying in the chat room. Oh, you know what? Let me move this over here too. This desk is going to get really crowded really quickly. LRCX to be renewed membership, now a member for 16 months. Right on. Thank you, Larry. He says, hello, everyone have a great day. Thanks, my friend. You too. Loki says that case is bigger than Carey. Not the first time. Go watch our Cosmos 2 build from 2013. That'll blow your mind. Let's see. Everybody saying hello. Welcome in, welcome in. John Kennedy says hello. Welcome in, John. There's Mitch Morrison joining us. Welcome in, Mitch. I haven't talked to Mitch in a little while. You back in town? I saw on his Facebook page he was at a barbecue in Dallas or Austin or somewhere in Texas. What else are you going to eat in Texas? Of course you're going to be at a barbecue. Gary Jones says hello from the UK. Paul Newman says hello. Mitch says he's up in Eagle, Colorado. Oh, I see. Well, Mitch is doing all this traveling. He was like in, I think he was in Texas. Now he's in Colorado, and he just got back from Australia, New Zealand, and then he's going off to South America. Color me jealous. Safe travels. Let's see. John Famler said it's one of the nicest packaging for parts I've ever seen for a case. I'm more used to all the screws mixed together and spending a few minutes sorting. Oh no, all the screws look like they're all mixed together in a plastic bag, and then they shove the plastic bag in a nice organizer, leaving most of the organization squares completely empty. So I'll tell you who was good with that was Fantex. They're really good at giving you all the screws in a little container. In fact, I haven't seen anybody do it better than them. Chris McGraw says, the case reminds me of my Cougar Panzo Evo RGB case. That thing did cost me a pretty penny a few years ago, and it's huge. Frank Jimmy says, a CareyHolzman Funko Pop. Yeah, we've got one of those around here somewhere. Where's my Funko? Maybe that's what I need to put on there, is my Funko. Hold on, I think it's on one of these shelves. It better be on one of these shelves. My Funko. It used to be up at Studio B, but maybe you guys didn't notice it. Uh-oh. I don't see it on one of my shelves. Yikes. I don't want that sitting around where it can get stepped on, because, you know, it'll ruin my mint, you know, new in the box packaging. Collector's item, you know. Huh. Where did it go? Where did I put it? It should be right here. Well, this is what happens when you do a live show. There's always going to be something I forgot. You know, sometimes what you really need is just a little mini fire extinguisher. I'm not quite sure how this works. We better keep that handy though. What Mara has given me to put in, Mara's got these dragon figurines. I'll bring this up close to the camera so you can see that. That looks way better to me and my Funko. But she wants to put this on the rotating platform. That's probably better than my Funko, huh? So again, after we put the video card in, hopefully this won't get in the way of the video card. Or maybe we could just put this guy in there. I'm not sure I want to look at squirrel butt. Yeah, well, you know, your choices, you have a lot of choices. That's a little too big, getting a little too close to those fans. Now, these fans are blowing air. If you look at the back, they're blowing air out. So he could get sucked into the fans. This fan is also blowing air out as well. Let's get Nutty out of the way. You stay, Nutty. It's my drinking problem. It's a reference to a movie called Airplane, which is a complete knockoff of a movie called Airport 1974, almost a scene-by-scene recreation of Airport 1974 that they completely made fun of all the shots in the script. You can play the two movies side by side. One was a serious, you know, drama, and the other just an over-the-top ridiculous comedy. Okay. Barry Klein says, how about putting a small heater next to the rotating platform? You could make it a mini Euro cooker. We're in the South. We're Southwest. So we could put like a small street taco. Little corn or flour tortilla right there. Little heat lamp underneath it. I don't think we're going to be able to pull that kind of wattage. What is this? This is a this is a metal. Okay, how the heck do you get that off? That's interesting. Oh, it's magnetic. Oh, so here's the thing. When we put our liquid cooler in this, tilt this up. When we put our liquid cooler in here, I typically face it with the fans blowing air out. If I'm going to do that, and I put this screen on it, which, you know, got magnetic edges, if I do that, then this screen is going to impede the airflow trying to get out of the case. We don't need to filter the air that's coming out. The exhaust air could take the dust with it, okay? We want to filter the dust from any air coming in. So I have to decide which way I want those fans to go on the radiator. Now, for the most part, whether you put the radiator in a push or a pull on the top or the bottom doesn't really seem to make any difference, any significant difference in cooling, maybe 1 or 2 degrees, and then you've got to allow for a certain variance in your room temperature changing while you're running the testing, upwards of around 3 degrees. So you're falling well within margins that make it equal. So when you're doing RGB fans, you want the RGB portion of the fan, which is the side that's bringing air in, to be visible, because this is what's lighting up. The other side, it's all blocked by support brackets and you know, this big circular motor here. So your RGB does not appear as nice, and most people aren't looking at this side of the case anyway. So when we're putting the cooler in and the fans are going to be up here, we generally want the fans to be seen inside the case, which means we're going to have fans facing down. And if we want the RGB exposed, then they're going to be pushing air from inside the case out through the top, and that means we don't want this. So we need to put this away in case we change our mind, but I don't think that's going back on. If I was going with a case where RGB didn't matter, maybe if I wanted to use that filter, I could bring air in this way. 6 of one, half dozen of the other. We're doing it for the aesthetic. Let's see. Luke Greeny, it says, I'm pretty sure those side fans are reversible in our intakes. You know what? You could very well be correct on that. In fact, I hope you are. I really hope that these fans are running in the opposite direction and are actually going to be blowing air into the case. Now, if we had reversible fans on the cooler, but you normally don't have a switch on a fan to control. Like on a ceiling fan, you can have it spin clockwise or counterclockwise. On computer fans, they're either built to run counterclockwise or they're built to run clockwise. If you want the RGB, but you also want the fan to output air to exhaust it instead of to bring it in, rather than pull the air in, then it's important when you're ordering your fans that you make sure you're ordering the right orientation. Most fans, probably 98% of fans, all rotate with the same exact rotation. And then there are these exceptions that are specifically made by manufacturers, specifically for their cases. And we demonstrated that with the Johnsbow TK1, where the 2 fans that went on the bottom, in order to show the RGB on the fans, those fans need to face up. But we don't want it pushing air out the back. We want it bringing air in from where it normally brings air out. And those were reverse direction fans. And by looking at them, as far as I could tell, I can't tell them apart from the other case fans. The same manufacturer makes all the fans. So in other words, if these are reversed fans and this isn't, they look exactly alike. Same branding, everything. So it's important you remember that, because if one of these fans fails and you just go buy another one without thinking about it, you're going to realize one fan's spinning one direction and one fan's spinning another, or the blades themselves are going to be oriented differently. And that's a way to tell too. If you look, these blades, boy, this is going to be a hard thing to pick up on. The blades are cupped. Think of a think of a spoon, okay? And each one of these blades is a spoon. The spoon, the inside of the spoon, is facing me. But on these fans, the inside of the spoon, let me see if I'm explaining this correctly. Yeah, so if I turn this way, right? So I'm looking at, no. These little fan blades that I'm saying, think of them as little spoons. They're little cupped spoons. They're cupped towards the outside of the case. These are cupped towards the inside of the case. So I think Lou Greeny is right. I think these are reverse spinning, or the fans themselves, I should say, the blades are reversed blades. And it's a subtle thing that if you've never had this situation before, and you end up getting a case that has this, or you want to add this to your case, did any of you notice the blades on these fans over here are in a different, they're cupped in a different way than the blades on, did any of you notice that this whole time? It's very subtle. Now, we need to get the motherboard seated in here. So let me lay this case flat. We already have standoffs installed. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 2, 3. I don't see any that have the post, you know, that hold the board in place. I'm a little spoiled with that. And I'm going to leave the heatsink on this. We put this heatsink on temporarily so we could prep the board with windows and drivers. Just test it, make sure it works before we go through all this effort. We know the board output, the I/O, is going to go in this rectangular hole, so I got to rotate the motherboard so that aligns. This board is very, very heavy. I don't wear an anti-static strap because I never touch the underside of any of the components. I never touch anything that isn't grounded. So in other words, by grabbing the whole top of this heatsink, I can lift this. Board is heavy, by the way. Look at the big metal plates it's got on the back. If I held on to the two metal plates here and here, kept my hands free of all these areas, there's no static that could hurt anything. If there was a static discharge, it would just go into the grounding plates. Uh-oh. That's too big. That ain't gonna fit. It's a big motherboard. So what I think I need to do is take this piece out, I guess. Let me see. I'm assuming that piece probably just comes right on out. My assumption could be incorrect. It's happened. Ah, I see a couple of screws. Trying to figure out what's holding this in. It looks like it swings open. There's a screw. Let me turn this around. There's a screw right here. There are two screws down here, but it looks like it's hinged. I'm about to become unhinged. All right, let's see. Looks like this is going to overlap our board a little bit. This is a very large motherboard, by the way. Probably wouldn't have this problem with a normal ATX board. Oh yeah, oh look at that. So just the one screw was all that was required. Oh, look at that. That is a clever design. Okay, now let me grab the motherboard. Set it in there. What's holding me up over here? I am definitely going to need a bigger desk. Interesting. Well, I can see how this could be a problem. There's a post right there that this piece locks down. That's what I just unscrewed it from. And that post is just too close to the edge of the motherboard. It won't let the motherboard sit down. Now, if I take that post out, that will clear the space, but then how do I secure this again? Do we have a motherboard that's too big for this case? It all should be fitting to standards. So I might be missing something here. Do I have to push the board further forward to get it around that? Or is there something else under us besides that? I don't think there is. It looks like that's the only thing in our way. So just for giggles and grins, we're going to take this piece out, which is right here. I don't know how well you're going to be able to see that. So I'm like, hey, I can open this up. That's great. But it secures to this piece right here. And that piece is blocking us. It's just right at the edge of the motherboard and not allowing the board to sit all the way down. So for now, let me just get that out of my way. Let me get the board seated and then see what I'm left with. It's just off by, say, 2 millimeters. Where's my tool for this? Rats, I don't have my tool out here. I think it's right down. What did I do with it? This is one way to get Studio C put back together, is I'll just start grabbing the tools I need as I need them. And there's a few other things back in their place I don't have to deal with later. Bear with me for a spare second here, and let me see if I can quickly locate my hex head driver. Well, that's the bag it was supposed to be in, and it's not in there. So that suggests to me that it's in my other parts bag. But why I have all of the bits for it in this bag without the driver is a mystery that we'll hope to one day solve. So I'll tell you what, we're going to cheat a little bit here. We're just going to use my screw removal pliers because that's just going to be faster. If I wasn't live and I was just doing this in the office, I could spend whatever time I needed snooping around looking for stuff. Oh, you know what? I just found it. I just found it. So this is what I was looking for. It's my ratcheting 5mm. And these are my screw removal pliers. You'll see at the end they've got a special end on them. And so they're designed to grip around the edges. Say you've got a screw that's all stripped out. Or in this case, we've got a bolt. We can turn it this way. If we have a screw, we go straight down on top of the screw. And we can grip the top of it and turn it. It's really clever. Okay, now, these screw removal pliers, they come from Japan, but they're sold on Amazon, and they're made by a company called Engineer. Anyway, let's get that piece removed. See, it's this really big standoff right here. And let's just set that there. I'll put these two things in here in case I need them again. And then we'll set this back down on its side. Raise that up. And rotate this towards me. And let's see if it'll sit flat now. Oh, that's so much better. Did I just line it up on the first drop? So the problem is, if we try to put that piece back now, it's just, I don't know why they drilled it so close to the board. It could have, they had room. Oh. Oh. This potentially gets in the way of the power cable, SATA cables, everything that plugs in over here. I think it's intended to cover them up and then to also work as a support bracket. And so what this post does is you put the screw in there through this hole and it locks this piece down. But that hole is just not accessible. It's like half available because the board extends right to the edge of it. So to get this piece in now, and remember it's narrower at the screw than it is at its base where it's all hexagonal. That is no gonna work. No gonna work. Well, I mean, it locks in pretty good. As long as they're not shipping it, I don't really think we need it, but I'm going to take that screw we took out that goes into this. We're going to keep these two pieces together. We're going to revisit this a little later. Maybe there's an adjustment where that can be pulled out a little bit. Because it's on those hinges, I'm just wondering if maybe it's adjustable. So we'll set that there for now. Now when it comes to securing the board, that's when we get to the little organizer. And the organizer, most of these boxes are empty, right? So you open this up, and we've got some sticky feet for something. Maybe the, well, it's got sticky feet on it. We have just a bag of all different kinds of screws. These little plastic brackets that, again, with the case clicks into, you get 2 spares. We have 5 zip ties. And we have 4 rubber grommets, probably for use of the installation of a 3.5-inch drive, if I had to guess. Which means there'll be special screws that have shoulders. And then you get extra plastic dividers in case you want to add another. So stupid. So let me do what they didn't do. Let me see if I can get these screws organized. Keep my OCD happy. Whoops. I'll just dump them in here for now. Oh, so they've given us an extra thumb screw. And in this bag is another bag of an assortment. That are just flying out of here. These are fine threads. Yeah, that's going to be your big shoulder screw. Put that over there. Fine thread. A lot of fine threads. Fine, large, fine. Case screw that can go here. Fine, fine, case. Motherboard standoff. Fine. 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 Wow, a lot of screws in this little bag. Didn't think there were that many. Wish I could open up a bag of chips that was that full. All right. Fine. 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 Course. Course. This is the socket for the motherboard standoff. So if you don't have the little ratcheting tool, this fits over the standoff, and then you use a Phillips screwdriver on top of that. So this little tool, it can go over there. The standoff can go with the other one. This is coarse. This is fine. 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 Coarse. Coarse. Case screw. We're almost through it. Hey, we have another motherboard standoff. That's 3 now. This is fine. Okay, no more. We've got our shouldered screws there with the rubber grommets. Coarse. Another shoulder screw. Case screw. Coarse. Fine. Fine and fine. So the question is, these little motherboard standoffs, which screws do they use? So since we've got them all out here, typically the fine screws are used for optical drives, solid state drives, and sometimes the motherboard, sometimes not. You've got the coarser thread that's also very short. Those are used for typically 3.5-inch drives, or sometimes to secure the motherboard. You got these funky looking things. These are case specific. These go on to the, because they have a shoulder, they go onto the grommet, and the grommet fits over the shoulder. And then that's gonna go into a drive, and then the drive, something will slide into the slot here in the grommet, I guess. Again, I don't deal with 3.5-inch drives anymore. Use external storage, folks, whether it's a NAS, a USB drive, or cloud storage like Microsoft Drive or Google Drive. Storing all your stuff on mechanical drives outside of a NAS just doesn't make any sense anymore. Not to me anyway. So anyway, so I wanted to find out which screw type goes into the standoffs, and so I can take a spare standoff right now, which is what I was about to do. Get rid of that. And I know I dropped a screw back here somewhere. I'll find it. And we'll grab, I think it'll be a CORSAIR screw, but I could be wrong. So we're going to just test that right down, see if that works. Yeah, it's not fitting, so we'll try the fine thread screw. That's the one they gave us the most of. I'm not a fan when they use the finer thread screws for the standoffs. Yeah, see, they wobble in there pretty good. But as long as it goes all the way down and it tightens, that's what we need to use. So we need 9 of these little fine threaded screws. I'll put this little standoff back. 1. That should be enough. Thank goodness for magnetized screwdrivers. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Oops, I screwed that up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay. That wasn't time consuming at all. I think I'm going to grab, and we have this torque setting down to 3. We don't want to tighten these all the way down yet because we still may need to kind of twist or move the board up or down to ensure that all 9 mounting points are available to us. So we'll just get them started. It looks like on this motherboard, and when you deal with boards like this that are this big, there's the SSD heatsink, I think, is covering up our middle mounting hole. And I believe the SSD heatsink has to come off. If there's not a mounting hole under there, got to remember there's a standoff on the other side that'll be grounding out against the back of the motherboard. If there's not a hole there, we have to take this back out and rip that middle standoff out. But I suspect underneath the heatsink, we're going to find that mounting hole for the board. Kind of dealt with that on the second Threadripper build we did with the Antec Torque 2 case. Had nothing to do with the case, really. It was just the way the board was designed. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and torque these down to the torque setting of 3, which is what the driver will shut off automatically when it hits that. They don't all have to be the same torque. That's just me being me. And too lazy to turn a screwdriver. Which is why I still don't have carpal tunnel syndrome. Even though I've been doing this 30 years, you'd think that would have caught up to me, but knock on wood, still okay. Dark in there, it's hard to see. So we got 1 screw left, and I believe that screw has to go. If I bring this up so you can see. Oh, it's getting heavier. Okay. It's my exercise. It's going to be hard to see with the light being the way it is, but I believe that middle standoff, it goes right here, and we've got a heatsink right there. So I'm going to take that heatsink off of there. So once again, I'm going to lay this flat so everything doesn't fall to the ground. Lay that flat. Let me grab my, is this driver going to fit? That driver is not going to work. I got to use my JIS driver. I have that right here. Now, I would make sure to buy an SSD that does not already come with a heatsink, because these heatsinks look way better and they work way better. So save your money. If your motherboard has built-in heatsinks for your SSDs, they are superior in both performance and aesthetic. Yep, there's our final mounting point is right there, right at the edge of where the socket, the M.2 socket is. In fact, even the thermal compound or the thermal tape on this has a little round circle over where that mounting point is so it doesn't hit the screw, even though the screw should be way lower. Oh, maybe that's not what it's for. Maybe it's for the, you know what? I'm not even sure, but maybe there's something at the top of the M.2. Very strange. Anyway, we can now put the heatsink back on. If I can remember which way I took it off. I think that's right. It is very difficult to line up the heatsink, but I think I got it. It sure would be nice if they had some kind of guides, but more or less it's once the screw finds the mounting point, it lines up, but it's a little difficult to find it given it's not see-through. So that finally gets the board fully mounted into place. Peter VZ with a €1.73 super chat contribution. Thank you, Peter. Take those off now. Nick Poverman said, I just got to my house. I'm now watching outside in 70 degree Fahrenheit weather here in New Jersey, having a beer, waiting for my wife to come home. Hey, sounds like a nice day. The end of a great way to end a work week and start a Friday evening. Yeah. Frankie B says, yes, I agree, Mara. Can we have Carey try it on again? What are we talking about? Martin Hogg says, did the screen stand puzzle get solved yesterday? Yeah, I believe I figured it out. John Famore says, I hope they separated out the M2 standoffs and screws. This motherboard, I think, can handle 4 of these drives. M2 standoff and screws don't come with a case. Those come with your motherboard. Oh, it looks like Peter's saying goodnight. Well, if you're still there, have a good night. Buster, thanks for hanging out with us and popping in and saying hello. What am I missing? Oh, have me put the stand on that portable monitor? I could do that in seconds now. I'll remember it because I just did it yesterday. Ask me in a month or two and see if I remember. That's when it'll get funny. Gentleman 2000 says, it seems lately more motherboards are placing the CMOS battery in an inconvenient place. I guess it depends on the motherboard and the manufacturer. The engineering of the board kind of dictates where that battery's got to go. So when you're dealing with mini PCs, you know, and you have much less space to work with, versus some monster like this, if you're wondering where the battery is, you got to consider that Meg has all of this armor all over it, all of these plastic or metal covers on the front and on the back of the motherboard, which you can't really see now. It makes the board quite heavy, and I'm sure the CMOS battery lies underneath something like this big piece right here that comes up. Bear with me for a second. All right, sorry, Alexa started reading a book to us. And I'm the one doing the storytelling now. It's not Alexa's turn. All right.
I'm so sorry.
Live shows. Maybe you can go outside and make the cameras bing all over again.
I'm sorry.
Passive aggressive much. David Graham with a $5 super chat. He says, my Mag X570 gave me fits to go to 24H2. Had to update the BIOS. Yeah, well, probably a good idea to keep that BIOS up to date first. That's what I always recommend. But where was I on this? So we got the board installed. I think it looks good in there. And the MSI Dragon logo will go with the little dragon centerpiece we'll put down on the platform. You know, we could save putting the water block, the all-in-one cooler in. Let's put the power supply in. I've just now seen where a 3.5-inch drive can go. It's going to be very difficult to show it to you, but down below, right up against, so down in this hole, okay, if you look down in this hole, now how can I do this? Up against this, there's slots, 4 slots. I don't know how well you can see them. And you could slot your hard drive in right here. That's what that's for. That's what those screws that have the shoulders and the grommets, that's what they slide into. And that's a place to hold a 3.5-inch drive vertically. Okay, now I know. Great. So I think what I want to do first is put the power supply in. So for our power supply, let me see if I can make some room. This is our motherboard box. And I'm going to put the motherboard box over here. And our power supply, brand new, never opened, Cougar 850 watt. It's called the BXM. Let's see if we can slide this over without scratching up my desk. And let's get this opened up. So this new drawer that I'm using is much shallower than the old one, and it's metal instead of wood. So all the things that are magnetized are sticking to the bottom of the drawer, and every time I close it, it's so smooth, everything slides to the back of the drawer. I found it. It's all the way in the back. I never put it in the back, but opening and closing the drawer, that inertia forces everything forward and backward. And I did not have that problem with the other drawer, but I do like how much lower the countertop is. It makes it much easier to lift things up and bring things down, especially when they're going to be heavy like this. And it makes me look taller. You know, I'll grab that anytime I can. I'm 10 feet tall now. I got something for you.
Hearing that with the headphones on, oh, that is painful.
Oh, you don't like that?
That is painful.
Oh, right into the ceiling fan. I forgot the ceiling fan was there.
That is painful.
Sorry. Sorry for those of you with headphones on. Just making sure you're still awake. Documentation. Foam, modular cable. What, we got no bag? Oh, it's semi-modular with a Velcro tie. There you go. And a US power cord. And another bag. Wah, wah. Okay, it's birthed. Sometimes they have their logo covered. No, it's all good to go. There's our 850 watt Cougar power supply going into our Cougar case. There is a little bit of orange here, and up at the bottoms, by the buttons. Knock that over. Up here at the top, see the orange for the USB and power button? That seems to be Cougar's colors, so that will subtly match. So let's put this in. Fan goes down. It's going to bring air up to cool your power supply, up through here, and then your power supply outputs the air this way. So your power supply is all enclosed, has nothing to do with your case temperature, has really nothing to do with how many fans you've got in your kit. It makes no difference to this. This is one of the crucial pieces you should be monitoring temps on. And as far as I know, you can't. So make sure you're cleaning out the dust filters that are going to be located under your power supply. People forget about them. If you don't have them or you don't know how they come out, just get yourself one of them portable dusters and dust it in this area and then dust it in this area. Go back and forth both directions. That should get the dust from both sides. And you should do that, I would say, at least once a year, if not twice a year. But depending on where you live, like here in Phoenix, you could do that every day. So I'm going to put the power supply in, slide it in over here. We'll line that up. Typically, the power supply comes with screws. Oh, they're in this bag. All right. And so as far as this box goes, we're done with that. So I will set this box right over there. We'll open this bag. You like my organization? It's pretty good. You get one Cougar branded. It feels like there's two. No, you only get one. You think they could have used it here instead of the wire tie? They could have saved a step. And then 4 screws and enough with that. So, put my blade away, bring my driver back out, put my glasses back on so I can see the black on black to make sure the holes line up straight. And the screws will go in straight. So we're going to go one here. No? One here. Now, one here. That's better. One here. And one here. Now that torque setting of 3 is great for electronic circuit boards, but for something big and heavy like a power supply, I like to take it a little further. Just tighten that bad boy up super snug, what I would call it. That's about it. You know, don't rip the heads off the screws, so you're going to have a bad day. And that gets our power supply installed. Just like that. And what we can do, if we take the zip tie off of here, we'll see what cables are they giving us. Just right, you know, the ones that you're absolutely going to need on all motherboards. You're going to need. It's a good time to untangle everything. You're going to need this big master 24-pin motherboard power connector. It makes sense this would not be modular, except if the reason you're going modular is to make power supply replacement easier and you were able to unplug everything from the back of the power supply, put the exact same make and model of power supply back in, and then plug the connectors in. That makes it a real fast repair. The problem is these little connectors, when they're modular, they're not compatible with other manufacturers, or even within the same manufacturer, they could have different models, and they look the same, they plug in the same, and they will short out and create a fire and smoke if you use them. Do not guess. If you're not sure if the power supply modular cable you have goes to your power supply, don't use it. The risk is incredible if you're wrong. There's severe consequences to that. So another reason I don't like modular cables is people lose them, and then they find some and they're like, well, maybe this one goes to this. Well, it fits, the plug fits, I'll use it, and then the sparks fly. So just be aware. It's okay to buy a modular power supply, but make sure you know these aren't labeled, none of them are. They don't say EVGA or Cougar or NZXT. They just look like every other cable. And they will plug into those other manufacturers' power supply, and they will spark and create smoke and fire. So there's a great chance of that. It's an expensive lesson you can learn. Okay, we have two CPU. I don't know why these are separated like that. These are two CPU power cables. Oh, we get a video power, but we only get one? I think we're going to need two. Okay, so this CPU power cable is going to go up here somewhere. So we'll run that right through the back, right up here. And let's see, if we pull this through. Where is it? Oh, they're moved over on this board. They're actually over here now. Again, you get these fancy boards. They're not your standard home user board. These are really high-end enthusiast motherboards that, if it wasn't 200 bucks, I would have never bought it. But these sell for like $500-600. You can look at the new MSI X870E board, and they're like $600 to $1,000. And they don't seem to really do anything, in my opinion, that the 670 boards don't already do. So I'm a little confused by that. But I guess we have to wait for the 9000 series chips to see if it really offers any benefit over a 670. But MSI makes this in the 670 for AMD as well, and it is massively overpriced, and it's heavy, and it's just over the top. So, you know, when I saw it for 200 bucks, I'm like, oh, I'll take it. I'll go over the top for 200 bucks. So it's all in perspective, you know. Let me bring this in through here. We have a Velcro tie there, okay? And as we come around, you'll see that's where that little door that I was messing with closes, right? So that's going to go right over our power connector. Let's see how that works. Plug this in. Yeah, so you can't really even see it when you close that down. Now, never mind these wires here. These are just from our cooler that's coming out right here. We're going to take that out. We are going to need, I do believe we're going to need another power cable. I don't think that 4090 Ti is going to run off of one. And I'm just surprised. Usually, if they're giving you a PCIe power cable for a graphics card, usually they have two connectors on it. But whatever. Whatever. We can go ahead and run that up right now, because that's going to come out here. And we're going to need one more of these, so let's go ahead and unbundle this. I like to save the twist ties to help me hold cables out of my way in the future. And then we've got another power cable for a video card here. Oh, these are individual. No, there's two on here. This one's an individual and this one's a double. How many power connectors does a 4090 Ti use? I have to figure out where I put the video card. It's around here somewhere. Hey, Mara? Yes? Can you look up how many power connectors that video card's going to need? Oh, it's at my feet. Oh, it's heavy too. Oh, this is going to be a very heavy computer when it's done. Yeah, the tape is, we've never opened this. The tape is still sealed. Documentation, the power cable, we keep that with the motherboard box over here. And then whenever we have for spares, I can use the Velcro tie to hold the spares together, which is
116-pin power.
116 pin.
Yes.
Okay, so it takes 2 8s. Each one of these is 8. This is an individual PCIe cable. So we'll go ahead and plug that now into the back of the power supply. I need my flash drive, my flashlight to see in here. That's for SATA cables. This should be for...
It should come with a 16-pin to 3 8-pin connection as well.
3, wait a minute, 3 8-pin?
With an adapter that comes in the box.
But it needs 3 8-pin plugs, not 2?
That's the adapter.
Because 2 8-pin...
You have 2 8-pin, or there should be a separate adapter cable that's in the box.
But why would the adapter cable need 3?
What is that?
Unless they're using the new 8... I guess I got to open the video card up. Just stop now, unbox this thing, figure out what we're going to need now. Okay, wasn't really ready to do this yet. This is the finale, but all right. Got to figure out what we're going to need. Okay. We don't want to use any adapters if we don't need them. If you need adapters, you're not using the right power supply. Well, you're not using the best power supply. Holy cow, this thing's massive. What the heck? Put that down. Let's put this down. Oh, okay. Jeez. Didn't know I was going to the gym today. Brand new, never opened. Here we go. It won't open. And I don't want to tear the bag. Do not enter without proper electrostatic safety. Oh, give me a break. The ghost of electricity is going to spark you. Learn how to handle the parts. Okay. We got some plastic. Oh, more plastic. Remove before use, it says in red ink that you can't read on the black. Can you guys even see it? If I can hold it still. Right down here by my finger. Like anybody's gonna see that. Ooh. Oh, look, more plastic. That was on there as well. I don't know why they were covering up the place where you screw it down. plastic under the plastic. I think. Maybe they want that piece to stay there. I don't like it. I want it off. Gonna look better without it. Wow, that one is really on there. I think they wanted that one to stay on. Too bad. In the Arizona heat, it'll yellow and bubble and just look terrible. So we get it off of there now. Wow, that is what you call wrapped. Holy cow. That is a big graphics card. We got the bridge for SLI up here, I guess, but nobody uses that. I don't even think it's supported anymore. And where's the plugs? Oh, I feel more plastic. Jeez. Ah, that's using the new plug. That's why. Okay, so they moved to this, what do they call it, ATX 3.0 or something. And this power supply is probably too old to have that. You really want a power supply that has that connector. You really do. It makes life so much easier. And this one, this power supply does not include that new spec. I'm sure somebody will tell me what the name of that spec is if I got it wrong. More video card joy. So what Mara's saying, if I bring this up to the camera here, I'll show you. This is a close-up of this magnificent beast. It's big, it's heavy. It'll take your lunch money for many years just to pay for it. And I'm looking for the power connector on it, you know, like where the heck did they put it? And if you look right there, that's the power connector right there. And you may have heard some of those had problems with causing fires and such. That looks like an ARGB header that I guess you could plug into your motherboard, so all your RGB on this can be controlled through your motherboard software. And then we've got a fan header right here, and I'm not quite sure what that's used for, but there you go. That is the $1,500. You know, this, I could buy 3 mini PCs and go have dinner for what this video card costs. But you know, some people have more money than me or play more games than I play. They've given us a bracket here, but we won't need that on this case. They've given us a leash. This is a leash. I guess if the card falls, it keeps it, I don't know. This is heavy. This must be our adapter. This is a big heavy metal case badge, a Go Faster sticker. And this is like, hey, buy some more stuff from us, kind of a thing. And instructions, plug it in, turn it on. So this is what we need. We need this adapter. This is what Mara was describing. And so the new video cards, the latest and greatest, got a couple more Velcro ties that were in there as well. Of course, Cougar labels theirs as Cougar, and EVGA labels theirs as EVGA. Close enough. But what we've got are 3 8-pin connectors that would typically go on the end of a video card or along the side of it. And they're all wired into this one really skinny, super small connector that I showed you on the video card. So I'll bring this up close to the camera so you can see it. So that's our connector that goes into the video card, just that. Now you should have one of these coming out of your power supply, in my opinion, but if you don't, That's what this adapter's for. So you take the plugs you would normally plug in, you take 3 of them. These would normally go into the video card, and then they automatically get wired together here. And you'll notice we've got plastic around these. This plastic needs to come off. These get hot. I don't know why they do it to cover their logo. God forbid the logo got scratched in shipping. The rest of the connector, they can mark that up all day long. But if our logo is on there, well, we got to protect that. So stupid. So make sure you get that plastic off of there. I'll just set it down there for now. Peter says, I just received a GTX 1070 for free from a customer, which is fun to play with. Yeah, I take it for free. I'm good. I'm there with you. They don't give us anything to peel this plastic off with. There's not like a red pole or anything like that. So I guess I'll risk my life to have some order in it. Should always cut away from yourself. Cut away. Don't cut towards yourself. That's not good. Okay. Now, what we're going to do, now that I have this all figured out, is move this stuff out of the way. Because again, we don't need it for a little while. I'll just seat it right back where it was. In here. Put it back its little hole. Where it's spent the last 2 years. I think it's been like 2 years since we started all this. Oh, and this stuff can go in here. Put that back. Put the Velcro in there. Yeah, I'll leave the Velcro out. I'll leave that little badge right there. Close this up and let me set it. I'm not throwing this box. I just need to set it back somewhere. That'll be fine for now. So we need 3 connectors and we have 1. Is that how that's working? Just that one? Now this one will have 2 on it, but I don't know if we're better off giving each one its own power. Did they give us enough to do that? There's 2. This is another double. So that's 4. And this is all SATA cables. SATA. That makes me SATA. But I don't have the right connector. All right, so what am I gonna do? I guess we're just gonna use, we won't use the single, that doesn't help us. And they, you know, if they gave us 2 on the power supply, then we'd use the single, but they gave us 1, so we'll use the double. That's what I think. So the rest of these cables we aren't going to use. So I will take their Velcro tie that they didn't use. Cougar. All right, these are our spare modular cables for, at least it says Cougar. We know which power supply they go with. And then this right to the back of the power supply, which is probably easy for me to get to from right here now that I think about it. That makes that super easy. I like that. And then what we'll do is we hide all these cables down under here. So the only thing sticking out is going to be this, plugging into, I guess, the back of the card. So we'll figure that out later, but I'm just going to tuck it in down here for right now and get it out of the way. Now on the back, move this over again. Oh, we've got some room. I like how Cougar has packed the case. In order for us to put the all-in-one cooler on, we need to get behind the CPU, and this cover is going to come off. But this cover is also doubles as a holder for 2.5-inch drives. It's a clever design. I love all the room we have for cable management all along here and inside of here, and the fact that you can put a vertical 3.5-inch drive here. Love it. Great design so far. Let's undo these cables because these are our front port umbilicals. So let's loosen them up. Now let's figure out where they're going to route, and then we can figure out how we're going to cable manage them. But I appreciate that Cougar takes the time in their assembly process to get these cables organized for us. And again, I want to untangle them as much as possible. Some of these are already hooked up to fans, I guess. This is our LED switch. LED switch. Did I pull that out of something? Is there a fan header? You know what? There's probably a fan header in here somewhere. Let me see what else we got. This is HD audio. That's for our front port audio. This is our front port Type-C USB. And again, we are Velcro tied all the way through here. Now that USB Type-C is usually right next to the power cable. This motherboard actually gives us 2 of those, but the case only gives us 1, and most motherboards only give you 1 of these. So this has to go. Wow, that's really interesting. The motherboard comes see these holes are blocked? That's the back of the motherboard. The end of this motherboard is all the way over here. So I have to come in from the side, and then I can plug that into one of the 2 connectors that you guys can't see. There it goes. So the Type-C connector that I'm working on is this right here. This connector right next to the power connector, and then there's another socket for a second one. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. They're a pretty high-end board, so that would explain why I haven't seen it before. Now this next set of cables here, this is, again, it says LED switch. I don't know what that probably goes somewhere. Our front panel is all one piece. You don't have to hook up the power switch, reset switch, power LED, hard drive LED all individually like you do with most cases. They've got it all on one connector right here, which is genius. And we need to put that on, should be this connector right here. So we can come in from the side or we can come in from underneath. So if I come in from underneath on this, just to try and hide the cable, that's our goal, keep it as invisible as possible, and plug that in. It should be this one right here. Now there's no voltage running through this cable, so if you plug it into the wrong thing, it won't hurt anything, it just won't work right. Those switches and LEDs won't light up. Okay, I've got our front port audio. That usually goes down at the bottom of the board. That's going to be in this back corner. This looks like about the closest place I can run it. It's got a pin missing, it looks like on the bottom, so you rotate it so they blocked a pin. Oh, it's on the top. The missing pin is on the top. Getting a flashlight and a magnifying glass, or being in a very, very well lit room, this is easy that you can set it on one row of pins and not realize you're not on the other row of pins. So it just friction fits down there. It's a tight fit. There's no clip or lock. Finally, I have the big USB 3.0 front port header to plug in, and that's gonna go, well, these are sideways. That's cool. 1 or 2 right here. There's 2 of them. That's pretty nice. So how do I want to do that? We bring it in around here. And just turn it sideways. Look at that. Then just plug it straight in. There. I mean, what do you need Project Zero motherboard in this for? You barely see anything. I think we can turn it on and see if it works before we go any further. And we're already at 2 hours. Let's see what happens when we fire it up. Where's that little fire extinguisher? Let's get that out, just in case we need it. Just put it right there. Okay. Power supply switch is in the off position. I'll go ahead and I usually save this for last, but the cables are all in a tangle at my feet, so I'm grabbing whatever I can see first. Let's see. We've got network. Wow, is that tangled up? Let me just untangle that for a minute. Okay, I'm going to plug that in to either of these 2 LAN ports here. And then finally, HDMI. Oh, I can't use this. I got to use the... This doesn't have any HDMI ports on it, or DisplayPort. It does have a USB-C, and I have a USB-C to HDMI adapter, which you can use to plug into, say, your phone, to hook your phone up to a television. But we should be able to just plug this in here. And these are Thunderbolt. I am stepping on my own cable. These are Thunderbolt connections. These aren't going to work for putting video out. I need the one, there's a USB-C right up here. That's the USB-C I need. Let's plug that in. And that should give us our onboard video from the CPU. With all that done, if I turn this on, and I turn this on, what happens? Turn this on. Nothing happens. Oh, I'm just not patient enough. It was thinking about something, I guess. I guess I need to plug the fans into something, right? And whatever these fans plug into, I'm sure like illuminates this platform, and this platform will spin, because these aren't doing nothing. But that should be good enough to at least verify that everything works. So let me go over to that input. Let's take a look at what it's doing. Oh, it's already booted. I didn't hook up a keyboard or mouse, so now what do I do? I guess I'll just tap the power button, and that should shut it down. And as it powers down, you can see how long this takes. It should be a pretty fast machine. Now that we have the no signal, I'm going to hit the power button again. Here we go. And let's see how long it takes to get to the desktop. Now do bear in mind, when you add more RAM, your power on takes longer. The more RAM you have, the longer it takes, because your BIOS has to go through it all every single time you turn on the computer. So a computer with 32 gigs of RAM will boot faster than a computer with 96 gigs of RAM. It's just math. Now, once you're in Windows, if you're using that RAM, then everything runs faster. If you're not using the RAM, everything runs the same, and the RAM was a waste of money, and it actually slowed you down instead of sped you up. So something to keep in mind. So let's go back now. Let me shut this back down. I'm going to tap the power button. And that will shut us down. And I'm going to go back to camera 1. Okay. And I got to see where these fans plug in, because I'm missing something here. It looks like behind this cover that I said I have to remove to get to mount the back plate for the all-in-one cooler, this plate has to come off, and I've not taken it off because I didn't need to. But now it looks like the fan controller's back there. That makes sense. Pretty well hidden. So there's just one thumb screw here. If we take that off, did I just turn this on? I did. Let me power this. Let's turn that off. I don't want to work on this with power. But we take this off, which looks like it just unseats. There is the fan controller. It's been hiding from me this whole time. Okay. Okay. That's got to be power and reset. So I don't know where this LED switch goes, but this is going to need a source of power coming from somewhere. And it looks like they've already pre-installed all the RGB and all the fans onto the controller. And somewhere there is a wire waiting for power. Oh, there's a wire tie here. I want to get rid of that. What is this? Let's go around the other side. Oh, there's an ARGB header that will plug into the motherboard or to any other ARGB device you have. I have to assume a board this expensive supports ARGB, but I likely can't see it in the dark. So let me grab my flashlight, and look around and see what I can find. Pump fan header. Fan. Wow, that's a lot of fan. Uh-oh. Oh, I think this is it, right down in the bottom right corner. So I guess we want to run that up through here, I guess. Is that possible? It's a little teeny tiny spot that I don't think was meant for me to be doing this. I'm going to do it anyway. Oh, I see why you don't want to do that. All right, we're not going to go that route. That's not a good idea. Let's go in this one right here. Okay, so the ARGB is plugged in, and somewhere it's going to need power, right? What is this right here? SATA power. Oh. So I guess all these fans all run at the same speed. They don't speed up or slow down. All right, well, that's fine, I guess. You want all the RGB to look right, I guess the fans all have to spin together at the same speed or it's not going to look right. So back over to our bundle of modular cables, I do need to plug in a SATA. So in here, we've got one somewhere. Yikes, it's on the floor now. I don't know how these things get tangled up like they do. It's like, couldn't do it if I was trying to do it. But I'm not trying to do it, magic happens. Okay. What am I doing? Okay. Now, I need to plug in a SATA cable to the back of the power supply. And you know, I really like that this whole top comes off because I get to the back of the power supply super easy. I mean, that's fantastic. I don't mean fantastic, but it is for the fans. And it is pretty tastic. That's tastic. Then I run this out here. Actually, I can leave it in this big hole and bring the power cable to it. I'm gonna have to straighten all this out later. But all of this can be hidden in this little compartment. You know what? I grabbed a Molex power cable instead of a SATA. Oh man, I didn't realize they gave us a whole strand for the old school Molex connectors. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. I just grabbed it thinking it was SATA. All right, I got to pay more attention. It's giving me some curveballs I wasn't expecting. So now the question is, are the two SATA cables that it includes, are they the same? Is one shorter? Because it's going to make my cable management easier if one is shorter. Or if one has fewer connectors. No, they both have 1, 2, 3, 4 connectors. They're both the same. So once again, I'm just going to plug this into the back of the power supply. Grab any of these 4 connectors, whichever one you want to use. I'll go to the middle one, I guess. And I'll go to the end. And I'll take that SATA cable that powers the fans and the RGB and plug it in right here. Now when I do cable management, I'm going to make sure all the cables are straight and folded, and then they'll all be nice and neat and all in this little hole back here, which is so good. So if I turn this on now, do I get some lights? That made a difference, didn't it? And if I take the dragon and I put the dragon look at that. Huh? That's what I'm talking about. Now I can put these cables. Oh, Mara's come out of her hole.
Is cooler going to be part 2?
I think so, because we just ran over 2 hours. And I still have to take the old cooler out.
That's... I don't have the words.
You don't have words?
Unique.
Yeah, it's unique.
That is...
But is it better than the Apache helicopter?
Nothing beats the Apache.
All right, so the Apache stands...
This is very, very close.
Oh, is it?
Very, very close, yeah.
It's close to the to being as nice.
And while I do love the laminar, it does need a liquid cooler.
Oh, absolutely.
It does.
Yeah, for sure.
I love the ramp, the fans. I love the rotating platform for my little dragon, which I'm going to add to it. That is... I'm impressed. I like this. This is great.
This was a last minute thing we threw together because, you know, we were stuck with these boards that we were going to use, and then we've waited so long. Why do it when 15th gen is right around the corner? But in the meantime, this is still top of the line today. Give it 2 or 3 weeks, it won't be anymore. So that's why I didn't want to upgrade the big Apache helicopter. It's a lot of work in cable management, only for me to be within days of finishing needing a computer to showcase the 15th gen. And the 15th gen should be so much better, knowing the potential issues with 13th and 14th gen CPUs and their voltages. So it's really important if you have a 13th or 14th gen Intel chip, not on a laptop, but and not in a mini PC, but a regular built one, that you make sure you have the latest BIOS. New BIOSes came out all throughout August. So if you haven't updated your BIOS in August and you have a 6 series chipset or a 7 series chipset, you need to be updating those. Latest BIOS, very important. Florin wants to know, is 15th gen worth the hype? Anytime there's a new chip coming out, like Snapdragon Elite, it's all they talk about until it comes out. Whether or not something's worth something is individually determined by your personal values, not by me or anybody else. One man's trash is another man's treasure, and whether or not it's worth the hype will be for each individual to decide for themselves. We cannot predict, since we don't have the chip. We don't know when it's coming out. We don't know how it's going to perform. Until we have it, we can evaluate based on our values and tell you what we think. But we can't predict that until we have it in our hands. Florence said he's at a 13th gen, never had any problems. Sure, yeah. I'm not saying that everybody who's got a 13th and 14th gen is affected. But if you do have a 13th or 14th gen, Intel's talking about releasing a piece of software that will allow you to check to see if you're affected, if your CPU's been damaged. And this is mostly K-based CPUs, but it doesn't have to be. It'll overvolt any 13th or 14th gen chip, and it could cause the chip to fail. And it'll fail in a way that's not real obvious if you're not gaming with it. So we'll see if Intel releases this little CPU checker app. Hopefully they'll release it. Andy Kane says, what about AMD BIOS updates too? Yeah, well, as AMD keeps releasing new chips that are AM5 compatible, your motherboard won't recognize it. If, let's say you've got an AM5 chip now, whatever it is, 8000 series, and you've never updated the BIOS, but you want to change your CPU to the new 9000 series, because you know all you have to do is pop your chip out, pop the new chip in, right? Well, not right. The people who wrote and engineered the BIOS for your motherboard 2 years ago when you bought it did not have a crystal ball to predict what the new models of CPU that are compatible in the future are going to be. So they have to work with AMD while they're in development and make a BIOS that can recognize the new chip. So the other reason they update BIOS is they fix CPU core parking, they fix the Infinity Fabric and the way that it's talking to the memory, the compatibility with different memory, and the BIOS updates are very important on AMD. And you always want to do the BIOS update first before you do like a Windows update, or before you reinstall Windows, or you change out your CPU to something else. Make sure before you shut down, check your BIOS version. You can use CPU-Z and it'll tell you your BIOS version. And then go to the website of the motherboard manufacturer and see what the latest version is. If they're matching, you're good to go. If there's a bigger number, you're probably going to want that bigger number. Bill Sony said, I updated the BIOS on my ASRock and it was easy. Oh, it should be very easy. Again, if you have a laptop or a mini PC, and none of these are affected. It's just the desktop chips that we're talking about, 13th and 14th gen desktop chips. You like it? Now imagine it when I put the glass back on. And again, that cooler's coming off, and we're putting on this bad boy right here, also made by the Case Company. It's called the Helor 360. And the fan, sorry, the CPU pump has an impeller on it. And you can see the impeller turning when the fluid is moving. You don't really see the fluid. It just looks like a little fan in there, but it's not a fan. It's an impeller. And if that fan is not turning when your system's on, your pump is not flowing. Your cooling is not working. I think every single water pump should have some kind of flow indicator on it like this does. That flow indicator is genius and it looks cool. But not only does it look cool, much like me, it has a purpose. It looks cool and has a purpose. Let me go back to the chat room here as we're wrapping it up for today. We're about 15 minutes over our time. I hope you're having a great Friday. I hope you'll have a great weekend. We're going to have to pick this up on a part 2, which should go smoothly. We install the video card, install the driver, and install the cooler, and install I don't know if there's any cooler software from Cougar. And then it needs some cable management. The panels go back on and it's done. A very easy case to build in. $200 for the case. $25 if you want the little spinning platform, or just leave the fan that's in there. I know I set that down somewhere, didn't I? I don't know where I put it. Thought I put it right here. But yeah, that little piece comes out, the fan goes in. If you missed it, go back and watch the beginning of the video. I set that fan down. It's not going to work in any other case. So you can switch it out. Maybe one day you have the platform, you get bored of it, you pop the glass open, real easy, no tools required. You remove the little bracket. So don't tighten the bracket down, you know, where you need a tool. Just tighten it down with your fingers. Oh wait, no, that's a regular screw, isn't it? Anyway, it's not a big deal. You pop that bad boy out, you pop your fan back in, put the little bracket back on with one screw, pop the glass back on, you're done. Then you can run it that way for a little while. And then maybe you get bored. You go, you know, put my platform back on. You're not messing with any wiring. It just pops out, pop the new one in. It's got a pad connector, so when you pop it in, it automatically connects to the circuit board underneath that provides it the voltage. With it's a wire-free contact. Pins and pads. I love that. Just don't do it while the system's on. Do all this stuff when the system is off, and not just off, but the power is unplugged or the power supply switch is in the off position. Don't plug a video card in. Don't plug anything into this unless it, you know, on the inside, unless it's off. Okay. How has the stream done with OBS? OBS says a few drop frames, but not bad. Andy Kane says, I put the fan behind me. Well, there's a lot behind me, so I don't know. It's not important. I'm curious. It's pretty big. I don't know how I could be missing it. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Let's see if you guys, let me look at your comments here that I've not been paying attention to. Let's see. Charlie Purdy earlier with a $20 super chat, he says, put this towards the electric bill. Oh, you have no idea. Thank you, Charlie. Jeff says, Carey, thanks for the tips on updating 24H2. It went great for me. Yeah, I think it's going to run great for more than 95% of the people. And that other 5%, they fit into a category like, well, if you play this game and you're on a 13th or 14th gen Intel CPU, then there's a known issue with this executable file. And so Microsoft will not offer you the 24H2 automatically because they know you have that and you're playing it and you have that chip. The software, the Windows software, knows your hardware. And so Windows Update will say, you're not ready for 24H2. That's why we didn't offer it to you. Yes, you can still go and manually grab it like I showed you. But if you're one of those people, you should wait until it's offered to you because they already know that if you install and download this and you fit into this little category, there's a problem that they haven't resolved yet, and they're aware of it and they're working on it. And as soon as they get it resolved, then you're going to get the automatic update recommended, you know, hey, you're ready for 24H2. But most of us don't fit into that category where we're playing certain specific games on, not many of us even have 13th or 14th gen Intel CPUs anyway. So you got to combine a number of different variables together. Those are the people that have the problems, generally speaking. Most of us with just regular old machines, probably never going to have a problem. You're just going to install it. It's going to work fine. If you're uncertain, just wait. It'll be recommended to you when it's your turn. Hey, that's Mats Olov joining us in the chat. Right on. He says, I can see you on my big screen today. Woohoo. All right. I feel like I should apologize for that, having to look at me on a big screen. There's AC's drafting. He says, is this case that open or is there some panels going around it? It's all glass, like an aquarium that wrap around the front. If you rewind this video right now, you should be able to, right? Isn't DVR mode off? Or on, I mean? I thought DVR was on. Yeah, DVR is on. You can take your mouse and scroll the video back just like you would with any other video, and go back to the beginning and see the case and how I took it apart. Mara wants me to add a second NVMe drive onto this board. So what I'm thinking is we'll just pull the NVMe drive out of the Apache helicopter case and we'll make it the boot drive in this one. And hopefully it'll boot and just update drivers. It's kind of sloppy. It's not really my favorite. I think a clean install is the way it should be, but that means she's gonna have to reinstall all of her apps again. So we're gonna have that discussion because I feel like that's what should be done, but it's her machine, and if she just wants to move it over and deal with any oddities that are happening on her machine will happen on this one, because whatever those oddities are changes in the registry or things that have happened over time, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And a clean install guarantees that ain't gonna happen anytime soon. So yeah, we'll have that discussion. Once this is in place, then we'll have the Apache helicopter that we need to disassemble and pull the board out of there. That's a 12th gen. It's not a, it's she thinks it's slow, but it's like a 12900K or something, like 64 gigs of RAM. I mean, it's a rocket ship. She says it's not good enough. All right. So we'll wait for 15. Besides, going from 12 to 15 is a much more worthwhile jump. 12 to 13 or 14, you know, you can just swap CPUs out. We could literally use the board she's got now, take that 12th gen CPU out, put a 14800K in it, and put it right back together. Fast fix. But the 15th gen is a whole new generation. 14th gen was not new. 14th gen is a lie. It should have been 13.5. All they did was they took a 13th gen chip, polished it up, made it go a little faster, gave it a little more voltage, and said that's 14th gen. It's the same generation of technology. They've never done that before. Each generation, 12th, 11th, 10th, they introduced new nodes. Now they're from 13 and 14 are exactly the same. They are precisely the same chip, the same node. They're lying to you calling it 14th. So if you have a problem with a 13th gen chip, you're gonna have the same problem on a 14th. They're the same chip, and vice versa. So 12th gen is not affected. Uses a different node. 15th gen will be using chiplets instead of one monolithic die. So that should be better. We'll see what they have when they come out. Probably within, what's today, the 4th? Somewhere between the 17th and the 24th of October, I think we'll see the introduction of a few of the new 15th gen chips from Intel, along with information about the different chipsets that are available. Luke Greenia says, no sleep for you. This one's an all-nighter. Nah, I think we can get another video out of it. Is DDR5 worth over DDR4? Again, what somebody thinks is worth it, you know what I mean? Like, how much is this computer worth? You could add up the parts, I guess, and say, well, this is what the parts cost, and the taxes and the shipping. But someone might look at it and go, there's not a price in the world that I would buy that. And someone else would say, shut up and take my money. I think asking what's best is just a waste of time. even if you get a consensus of people that agree that this one thing is the best, not everybody's going to agree to that. I really think you need to decide for yourself and say, hey, I've run the tests. It makes a difference for me and how I use my computer, or it didn't make a difference. But that doesn't mean it's the same for everybody. That applies to you and your own experience. I encourage you to have your own experience and decide for yourself. If you can't determine why you should be buying it, and you have to ask people why you should be buying it, you probably don't need to be buying it. That's all I'm saying. If you don't know what you're buying, don't buy it. JD52 in the chat room says, I wouldn't pay for that RGB. Blah. That's hilarious. I think there's a button to turn the RGB off, but I don't know where it is. Certainly in the software, when we load the RGB control software for the MSI board, I just realized my Intel logo is upside down. It's magnetic. It's actually spinning, this logo. So if I grab it and stop it from spinning, I can rotate it around that way. And now the Intel logo is right side up. That is a really cool cooler. I'm a big fan of that cooler. See what I did there? Yeah, I'm not proud of it either. All right. It's a fact, everybody hates RGB. Hey, Mara, you hate RGB. Eugene Hildago joins us and says hello right here at the end. What?
Not responding to that.
She's not responding to that. Yeah, probably the best answer is nothing. Carey, do you have any idea what the numbers cycling in the upper right corner of the motherboard represent? Those are usually diagnostic LEDs. If I had to guess, it almost looks like it's reporting CPU temperatures. I didn't even notice that. Usually during boot up, if you have LEDs on the board, they'll cycle through and then they'll lock in on the final like A1 and it'll just stay that A1 forever. But this one's cycling. It's steady now. It's cycling 43, 44. And if we do something to make the board work harder, I wonder if that's reporting temps. Now, I could pull up the motherboard manual in a PDF file right from the manufacturer, and it'll explain what that is. But normally when I'm working in the field for a customer, I'm working on their machine. I'm working on a machine I've never seen before. I'm billing by the hour. I need to get in and out quickly. And I find, for me anyway, figuring it out is faster than finding the instructions, downloading them, opening them, finding what you're looking for, yada, yada, yada. Customer's like, what am I paying you to do? You're just reading a book. So it says 41 right now. And I'm just wondering if I do something with this fan, which I shouldn't do. If I stop that fan, does that number start to go up? The fan really wants to go. That number ain't moving. So I don't think that's temperature. No idea. No idea. Gregory Howard says I should check my phone. Oh, I have not checked my phone this whole broadcast. My bad. Yeah, let's do that and we'll wrap it up. We're right at 2.5 hours. I think that's a good stopping point. And we'll pick this up, I don't know, maybe tomorrow, over the weekend. I'm anxious to get it done, and I don't want to wait. So I don't want to wait till next Friday because then I'll forget where parts went. My memory's not so good anymore. I think, if I can remember what I forgot. Let's see. My phone is telling me I'm live right now. That's fantastic. Gregory Howard with a $10 super chat says, check my phone. Peter joining us from Amsterdam with a €1 super chat. Thanks, guys. Okay, let me check my phone. I shall do so. I just have to open the right app. Oh, Frankie B sends an Amazon gift card. Thank you so much. Very generous. Frankie joins us from New York. What am I looking for? Something from Gregory Howard. Again, thank you to William Denton for the Amazon gift card. I don't see anything from Gregory Howard. I don't know what you sent or how you sent it, but I haven't received it yet, as far as I know. Paul Connolly joining us from Australia with $14.99. Thank you, Paul. Phil's Todd said we call it old timers disease. I knew it had a name, I just forgot it. John Paul Bacon saying, take care and blessings for all. Right on. Thanks, John. John Famler says, well done, Carey. Well, that 3090 Ti alone will make this machine a monster. I can't imagine how heavy this thing is going to be. That motherboard's heavy, that cooler is heavy, and that video card is really heavy. And all of that's going to be put into this mildly heavy. Case itself isn't too bad. Maybe 5 pounds, 8 pounds more than a standard NZXT. And that's mostly the glass, I think, that's causing that weight. That tempered glass is pretty heavy. I should probably move it without the glass on it. That'll make it a lot lighter. W. Denton says, you are welcome. Right on. Barry Klein said, it's better that your phone tells you that you're live now rather than it telling you that you're dead. Well, how would I know if it told me I was dead? Oh, you mean if I was alive and it told me I was dead? Glitch in the matrix. Trouble Johnny says, will you be adding multiple GPU brackets? No, this already has a built-in GPU bracket right here. This is it. I can close it. And then a screw goes down there, but this piece interferes with the side of the motherboard. So I gotta think about that. It says it fits this motherboard. I think it's the armor that MSI puts on the board that just gives it that little extra width. And I think Cougar could have moved that just a little further away without any problems. Just simply put the hole a couple millimeters further away from the edge of the board and everything would have been fine. I think. Douglas Purcell says, thank goodness you don't have to ship it. Yeah, that would be, well, it would go back in the original case. They packed this really, really well. The problem would be like a video card. That would have to come out in order to make sure it was shipping as safe as possible. And then the customer would have to put the video card in and hook the wires up. And you know, I don't want to get involved in that. So I just let the customer source their own video card anyway. Don't buy it from me and have me ship it to you, because then if there's damage to it, it's my problem or whatever. Just buy the card from wherever you're going to buy it. And if you have problems with it, deal with those people. But at least it'll be packed properly. Like if I were shipping this, I would put the video card, because it's so delicate, back in the original box and pack it exactly the way it was packed. Then I put that box in another box. So just shipping the video card alone will cost me somewhere around $60 to $70 just to ship that. Then to ship this is another $200, maybe a little bit, maybe $220. So you're looking at about $300 in shipping fees. And then if it arrives broken, but I think as long as you put the video card and the case back in its original box, that's how it was designed to be packed, and it's likely going to survive that okay. I can't guarantee that something might pop loose, that you might have to check to see if any cables came loose, because they'll be handling the boxes pretty rough. So this one wouldn't be too bad to ship. It's just very heavy, and it would cost more to ship it than it would be worth for anybody to receive it. Barry Klein said, I foresee disaster and broken fan blades in that case if you don't secure the Dragon down with some kind of adhesive. Well, I wouldn't ship it with the Dragon in it. Come on. Obviously, this would be something personal that somebody would put on. I wouldn't ship something to them. If they wanted this would have to get packed up in bubble wrap in a little box, and this would probably cost $20 to $15 to ship. So it would have to be a separate box. But no, I would not ship with anything on the platform. Absolutely not. That's just asking for trouble. Barry's trying to be funny. Work harder, Barry. Come on, you're better than that. Carey would have a working computer, and that's what counts. Well, it's like we lose our focus. We're so focused on what we're going to put on our showcase and our glass aquarium and our RGB, and it's like, well, what does the computer do? What do you use it for? Oh no, this is all I do. I just work on the computer. I work in the computer. I don't work on the computer. I just run benchmarks and change parts. Some people, that's what they do. Okay. Mara says, funny or not, it did occur to me. No, that's not going anywhere. I suppose you could put some Velcro down on it, but it's going to be sitting on a floor by a desk. So yeah, it may get bumped, but that thing ain't going nowhere. And even if it did, it would fall over. It wouldn't jump up and hit anything. Remember, we're going to have a liquid cooler on here. These fans are they're just for show. You know what I mean? Like, who cares? If it fell into the fans, I'm sure it wouldn't hurt anything. They do give us, now that you mention it, I don't know what this is. Oh, never mind. Those are the little plastic dividers, and they give us some rubber feet. But yeah, you could get maybe a little piece of Velcro or something like that. I don't think it's going to move. I think you can bump the case all day. It's heavy and it's solid. It's not going anywhere. But if you were shipping it, right, if you were picking it up and physically moving it, you'd want to take that out first. But I thought that didn't need to be said. I kind of thought that was obvious. Paul Connolly tells Mara, please let us know how you like it. Yeah, well, she's certainly anxious to get it. And that also frees up the issue of, well, we're upgrading the big helicopter. What does she use in the meantime? So this solves that problem for us. Then when the helicopter's updated with 15th gen, then this will maybe become the streamer. I don't know what I'm going to do with this. But for now, it'll serve a purpose. It'll be tested thoroughly, because Mara will ring it out like you can't believe. And then, if it passes all of her tests and she likes it, we know we got a good solid machine that we could use for studio purpose, or perhaps set it aside and let it collect dust, and when the right person comes along locally that wants to buy it, we sell it that way. But yeah, we definitely want to sell this locally. Phil's Todd said you should look into toolbox drawer liners for your tool drawer. You know what? That's a great idea. That's a great idea. Yeah, because they just slide all over the place in there. I'm sure having something not so slippery like a liner would make a big difference. And I have to remember, I did drop a screw behind me that goes in here. Just extra. But might need that extra someday. So I'll find that once we're done with the show today. A shout out and a thank you again to our friend Buster out there in Scotland, Frankie B in New York, Oystein in Norway, Paul Gray in Australia. These guys have been extraordinarily generous to us. We can't thank you enough. And of course to all of you in green that are supporting the channel, all of our members, and all of your super chats helping to keep us sponsor free. Can't thank you enough for that. This was all of our money. All of the channel support went to pay for every single part you see here, I guess except the Dragon. Mara already had that. So if you're wondering where your money's going, it's not into my new Tesla, because I don't own a new Tesla, because I don't make that kind of money. Someday I'll have my Tesla, but it's not going to be any day soon as far as I know, unless something I do goes viral, and hopefully for the right reason. Bajan Guy says, great stream as always. Troll McTrollington says, you better want to find that screw because you can't have that screw loose now. Yeah, I've been told I had a few screws that were loose. Paul Connolly says, nothing like a power user to test it out. Yeah, there's no benchmark in the world that compares to handing the computer over to Mara. She'll have 96 tabs open, 17 applications running in the background. Yeah, and if it's running slow or if its latency is starting to drag, I'm going to hear about it. So she's already having that problem with the 12900K. Luke Greenia says he's loving the project. Zero build, it's been nothing short of perfect so far. Yeah, and Gregory Howard's got the little coffee machine that we built. That was, what, Segotep, I think? The last I heard, he was loving that.
Hey, it's a 10900K.
Oh, it's not a 12900?
No.
It's a 10900.
Yes.
I thought it was a 12.
No.
Oh. Okay, so Mara's Apache helicopter has a 10900K, not a 12. Don't give me that face. Your face is going to freeze that way. Oh, too late.
That's why I keep saying I need an upgrade.
Okay, so you're going from 10900K to 14900. You're leaping 4 generations. Yeah, you should notice a difference. Relax, it's not done yet. You have to wait till I'm done filming.
I'm patient, sort of.
Yeah.
I'll just keep pushing.
Maybe we'll get it done over the weekend.
You have to do part 2, so we'll save it for part 2.
Yeah, we'll do part 2, and then when we get the Apache back up here, it's probably going to need a good cleaning.
Oh, yeah, and that's going to be, I'm not sure. So, but I mean, the Apache in and of itself is beautiful as it is. Once we get the new parts in and upgrade it, and we'll see what happens. I'm kind of excited and a little hesitant because we don't know. So.
Exciting times for you. Such a risk taker.
You know it. I feel like
such
it's
a risk taker.
And it's
Christmas
your birthday. And
it's
Thanksgiving. Oh wait, it is the holiday season. Perfect timing. Perfect timing. And look, it's Halloween.
There's always a holiday.
Always a holiday.
Paul Connolly says, thanks to everyone in chat and the contributions from everybody. We appreciate your support. We couldn't do this without you. I promise you. What YouTube is paying us now is about 90% less than what they used to pay us 3 years ago. So let's just say, for example, 1,000 views would pay $100. Now, 1,000 views pays me $12. 12 and change. So each of your views is worth less. So we have to find another way, as sponsors are leaving. They're not getting any satisfactory engagement with viewers to sell their products. They're leaving. Sponsors are going away, especially on vlogs, blogs, videos, and it's getting worse. So it's going to be up to you guys that decides this channel, because if it turns out that there's very little coming in to do stuff, if I don't have repairs coming in, then I become somebody sitting behind a desk with a microphone in front of me talking about the news. Well, this person did this and this, and it's just me talking. I don't know. I'm not against that, don't get me wrong, but it doesn't cost anything to make those videos. I've already got the microphone, I've already got the desk, I just put a chair back here, and then I pontificate about what's going on in tech. That's what the channel will become, because I love doing this and I won't stop. But with your support, we can play. We can get some cool stuff. And then hopefully we get more companies cooperating with us that don't want control of the review. Companies that trust us to do it live. Believe it or not, there's a lot of companies that you tell them you're doing it live, they're like, nope. So we'll just go buy the product if it's something we're interested in, and we review it anyway. Too bad. We've done that to a couple companies so far, and then we shove the reviews in their face so they see how many views we've got, and we go, see what you missed? You know, you could have had this earlier. But we're going to review it one way or the other, and I think you'll find the review is honest and thorough. And if they don't want that, see, some marketing companies that work for these large corporations, they want to impress the corporation with their marketing skills. So they basically want the creator like me to make a commercial. And I'm like, no, that's a commercial, it's not a review. So if we buy the product, we maintain impartiality. If we get sent the product for free, we're a little bit maybe biased because we don't have an investment in it. So we might not be as harsh or critical, just subconsciously. And if a company says, we'll buy the studio, we'll buy your channel, and you're going to represent us, then now I don't speak for myself. I'm reading a script that likely somebody else wrote. And I'll be doing the same company every day. You know, today it's a router, tomorrow it's a keyboard, it's a case, it's a motherboard. It's the same company over and over and over. I don't want to go that. That is a possibility, but I don't want to do it. So, hey, there's Mike's Unboxing, Reviews, and How-To. YouTube pays a lot less than minimum wage on an hourly basis for sure. Yeah, well, he knows. If you've not seen Mike's Unboxing, Reviews, and How-To, he's got a great channel. He's there in jolly old England, and love to listen to the British accent. Everything that they say with a British accent sounds sophisticated to me. I'm like an Anglophile, you know. I'm fascinated with fish and chips, my Mini Cooper, and Monty Python and Benny Hill, and absolutely fabulous. And gosh, I love 2 pints of lager and a packet of crisps. What a great show. One of the best shows ever. Anyway, I digress. Do check out Mike's Unboxing, Reviews, and How-To. He does a very similar style to me, but he's better at it. So go check him out. David Graham said, YouTube isn't a day job for sure. Well, it kind of is for me. YouTube is mostly my day job now. I also take care of my customers, but you know, I dealt with a customer today, had a problem, and I was able to remote in and fix that problem and still have plenty of time left to get ready for today's show. So I'm trying not to put all my eggs in one basket, but I do have 80% of my eggs in my YouTube basket. So I really want this to work. And it was working automatically with sponsorship. And now the whole landscape is changing. But, you know, my father would not work on a mini computer. He worked on big mainframes, System 34, System 36, AS400s. And when he saw me with my microcomputer, He's like, that's a toy. You know, you need to get a job. You're wasting your time. And when things like, so he would write custom payroll software, like an RPG, RPG2. And each piece of software had to be customized for each company. And he wrote some other software. But he made it up in his head that these microcomputers, you just use them to play games. They're a waste of time. I use real computers. Now, I'm about his age when he said that. I'm actually a bit older than him. He's probably in his 40s when he said it. But I find myself going, oh, cell phones and tablets? Come on. Those are consumer devices. You're not going to create anything on those. But I'm a creator, right? So to me, I'm not interested in those. And yet the general population are choosing those over computers now, except for gamers and certain individuals. We're losing this segment. Just like computer clubs, they're pretty much all gone. And what few computer clubs remained were shut down during COVID, during that whole situation, and many of them never got back. Everybody just did everything online. They do a Zoom meeting instead of going to a conference room, and they just kept it that way. We'll just have our guests come on via Zoom. And so now you're talking to like 6 people, when it used to be a room of 80, or, you know, the biggest one I did was 300 people. They just don't, times are changing. And so as my dad would resist the microcomputer as being a toy, he eventually worked himself right out of work because everybody started using the microcomputers. They were much cheaper. You could use QuickBooks and configure it to do your payroll no matter what your company was. You just needed someone who knew how to configure QuickBooks. But back in the day, I don't know what payroll, maybe it was Lotus 1, 2, 3, but you could automate things and customize them to your business instead of having somebody write custom software for you. You just modified this one program to do what you needed it to do. And before you know it, nobody was using System 34, System 38, System 36. There's still maybe a few AS400s out there somewhere, but work would be very hard to find. So I find myself in a situation that's very, it reminds me of me just shaking my head like, oh, he just doesn't get it. You know, my dad doesn't get it. And I guess I'm in the same position. I don't get it. I think there's so much more value in a PC. And of course, in corporate America, you're still going to see PCs. They're just not going to be blinged out. They're just going to be regular Dell, HP, Lenovo's, and they're going to have thousands of them, and they need an IT staff to maintain them. So those aren't going anywhere. But for the residential, for the home user, it seems like this is becoming a VHS tape. And we're seeing it circle down the drain. Every day, every month, the numbers keep going down and down and down. So we know you guys, our group here, you guys are into it. So as long as we have your support, we're good. I don't want you to worry. We're not going anywhere. But the more that we have opportunities, the more variety we can do without any corporate control. So when I'm telling you about Acronis at 30% off, when I'm telling you about RoboForm at 30% off, when I'm telling you about VIP CDK deals at 30% off, all those deals, you might say they're sponsorships, but the way I see it is, I'm trying to get you guys a discount on software I recommend to my customers and I use in my business, and I stand behind 100%. So if you have an issue with any of the products I promote, that you're getting your 30% off, and their customer service doesn't make it right, you talk to me. Most content creators will say, well, if you bought that from one of my sponsors, that's between you and them. I got nothing to do with it. I didn't put a gun to your head and make you buy it. That's on you. I don't behave that way. I run my business with my customers here in Phoenix, and I run my YouTube channel with my viewers all over the world, and I treat everybody the same. You'll get the same advice. You want to know what tools I use, and all I did is reach out and ask several companies to get you guys a discount. Those 3, VIP CDK deals, RoboForm, and Acronis, are the only 3 that responded. I mean, I still use the other software I reached out to, but if they tell me they're not going to work with me, I'll still use it, but I'm not going to promote it because they're not doing anything for you. I need them to give you a discount. And if they say, well, this is the standard discount we give everybody, well, never mind. If it's the same discount my viewers can get anywhere, what's the point? And these companies, there's been several, they go, this is how we do it. I go, well, I want you to make an exception. I have a very high engagement with my viewers. They're a very good target audience for your product. Give them a discount. It doesn't have to be forever. You can make it a week, make it 2 weeks. Give them a discount that they can't find anywhere else. It doesn't have to be for, forever, just a limited period of time. Give them something they can't find anywhere else. And the only 3 companies that agreed are Acronis, RoboForm, and VIP CDK deals. That's why we're using them. So you can imagine, we get folks trying to say, hey, would you test our keyboards? How do you test it? It's a keyboard. What do you want me to do? Here, it's blue, it's white, it's green. This one has RGB. It's a keyboard. I'm not gaming. I'm not going to check to see the latency on the keys. I'm not going to make a 2-hour video out of that. I have with some keyboards, but we generally turn those down. We're like, we appreciate you thinking of us, but we need more than that. So that's part of the battle. That's what's going on in the background. Mara's working with sponsors and potential sponsors. And of course, she answers your emails. If you have any questions, please email the channel. If you go to, let me go over here to this, where did I put my keyboard and mouse? I want to show you something and we're going to wrap it up. Some of you may not know this. Most of you, I hope, already know this. Let me plug this in right quick. This has a lot of USB ports back here. And let's go over to camera 2, which is this unit here. It should be at the desktop. Oh goody, there's a Samsung Magician update. Let's go to gotta go through that. Start without my data, uncheck the box. Wow, this thing's fast. Holy cow. Wow. All right, it just flies. Let's go to YouTube. And let's search for CareyHolzman. Whole carrot. Got to spell it right. No T in my name. CareyHolzman, not Holtzman. Holzman. And then that should bring up, oh, there's my video. I can watch my video live that I'm broadcasting right now. When's right now? That's then. This is what's coming. Coming's already here. Now it's gone. All right. Look at those thumbnails Mara's doing. Aren't they great? Anyway, if you click on, let's say, any of these videos, let's just say you're watching a video, right? When you bring the video up, see, this will piss it off and we'll have our own video here. When you bring the video up, if you click right here, this is join. This is how you become a member right here. And then this right here, if you click on that, that takes you to my channel page. And you can say, if you want to email the channel, there should be, like, we click on more. And you'll see there's our discount links. There's our Twitter location if you want to follow me on Facebook. And it says sign in to see email address. That is our email address that any of you can use. Obviously, you've got to be signed into YouTube, which I am not right now on this computer we just built. And you can find that on most every YouTube channel if you're wondering how to reach out and talk to that creator. You'll also see YouTube has changed this, and now they're putting the live videos under the home. Remember, they were hiding all my live videos over here. And I said to my audience, where did Carey go? It's because you're clicking on the home and YouTube was only showing the regular videos, the uploaded videos, and they separated the live videos. Now they're combining the live videos, and it even says live. I want to thank Mara for pointing this out to me. She noticed it. See, it says live right here. That's not from me. That's YouTube putting that there. You see how it says live? So if you're watching this video tomorrow, it won't say live right here. It's only, this is just something YouTube puts in while it is live. So if you don't see that, you're watching an older video. See, it shows it here. This is live, same video. This is what's happening right now. We got a list of a bunch of our members here, which is cool. There's a join button there. These are past live streams. It's Arturo from Money Heist. I don't know if we're getting audio. Yeah.
I don't know anything about computers. Maybe one day you can show me. But in the meantime, do something with your hair. Change something. We cannot look like each other. It's too distracting. Anyway, I send you a big hug. And good luck with the computer business and the YouTube channel. Ciao. Hello, Carey. CareyHolzman. I'm Arturo Roman. Not you. I am. Man, I'm getting all these messages from people saying, hey, Arturo, are you building and repairing computers in a YouTube channel? No, why? And that's when you come into the picture. Carey, we're like twin brothers, man. We look so much alike, people can't tell one from the other. Anyway, I wish you all the best with your YouTube channel. That's pretty interesting.
Hey, Carey, Real Life Peter Griffin here. I love what you're doing with the computers and stuff. But have you tried turning it off and turning it back on again? Boom! Now I'm a tech too. Freaking sweet. Hey, Carey, Real Life Peter Griffin.
Hello, Carey. CareyHolzman. I'm Arturo Roman.
Hopefully those videos will be easier to find. There's a lot of content that my viewers are not seeing because of the way YouTube has organized it. And I think this is going to fix that. So I'm hoping you guys will be able to find some videos that I've done in the past that you didn't even know were there, now that YouTube isn't hiding them like they were. So. Troll McChoing says a live video within a live video is Careyception. Douglas Burchell says, again, thanks for a great show. Well, thanks for hanging out with us, Douglas. We're always happy to see you here in the chat. Phil's Todd said he's used BIP CDKs to buy licenses, and it's a fantastic company. Oh, believe me, if I'm promoting it, they had to fit through a very fine filter to get through. There's a lot of companies that are, in my opinion, that are selling keys that I think are a bit shady. Speaking of shady, we did buy some stuff from AliExpress. I want to show you one thing, and we're going to wrap it up. I said that an hour ago. Let's see. Where did I put it? So if you've been following the channel, you know we've been trying to upgrade to 10 gig. It's not easy, it's not cheap, and it does run very, very hot. So this is not sold in the United States. I don't know, it probably needs some licensing that they don't have. But IOCrest makes this USB adapter, which looks like a big metal brick. And it comes with a USB-C cable. But what this is, if you plug this in here, this is USB-C to Thunderbolt 3 or 4, or USB 4 only. And that is a 10 gig to USB network interface card. They're about $100 on AliExpress, take about 3 weeks to arrive. And then you got to find the driver, which is no big deal. Plug a regular Ethernet cord in. You're not dealing with the darn SFP Plus connectors that are that long and SFP is cheaper, but it runs even hotter. You can physically burn your fingers, third-degree burns, on a SFP plug, SFP Plus. They get super hot. Now, this unit obviously is going to get hot. That's why it's nothing but a big heat sink. And they're all using the Marvell AQ, it's like an AQIO1, I think they pronounce it Action driver chipset. So they're all kind of the same. But I'm going to be reviewing this and talking about it. And since this computer has Thunderbolt on it, and it's probably a 2.5 gig Ethernet on the back, we can sample this 10 gig adapter out and see how it works. But that's an AliExpress buy. And we know we're not going to get any support. We're not going to, returning is going to be difficult. We're not getting any customer service. It's like going to a garage sale. When you're on AliExpress, think of it like a garage sale. You bought it, it's yours now. If you want the support and the ability to return it, wait until Amazon starts selling them and buy from Amazon. They sell some of the same things Amazon sells. Like, for example, one other, since we're talking about it, we recently, during a live video, had a package arrive that contained this USB-C to 5 gig network adapter. And when I plugged it in, it only worked at 2.5 gig, and then I downloaded the driver, boom, then it went to 5 gig. But you think, oh, it plugs in and Windows sees it, it automatically loads the driver, I'm good to go. No, you're not. The default driver that Windows auto loads is 2.5 gig. So I'm going to review this as well, but this is sold, this exact same unit that I bought on Amazon for $35, you can pick it up for $18 in free shipping at AliExpress. Is it worth spending the extra $18 to have it shipped within 2 days in most cases from Amazon, to have a 30-day return that's free for no reason, and to have local support to be able to contact the company for help? To me, I'm going to order off Amazon if it's an option. If the only place I can get it is AliExpress, then I know once it arrives, it's mine. It's my problem, for better or for worse. So I'm very, very cautious of anything I order from AliExpress. So you'll see we've got some stuff coming up here that's pretty cool involving networking, specifically 10 gig networking. We also, on AliExpress, we ordered a 10 gig smart switch. Now, I don't use smart switches. I use dumb switches. You just plug them in and they work. Smart switches enable you to log into it just like a router, and you can configure IP addresses and ports and create virtual LANs. And maybe Mara will be brave enough to stand behind the stage or behind the counter and demonstrate and explain all of this, well, especially to me. Why in the world do you want that? What would you use it for? She comes from a corporate background, so I understand, they have all that stuff to differentiate different departments of the company and certain regulations that require certain kinds of firewall and protection. But as a home user, why would you have a managed switch? And she's going to tell us why. But we haven't received it yet. So when it arrives, it's going to be a few weeks. It's all 10 gig. I think it's an 8-port 10 gig managed switch. They also had a version with PoE. We don't use power over Ethernet, so skip that one. But we'll see if it runs loud. We know it's going to be hot. It's got to run hot at 10 gig. It's all Ethernet. It's not. It's all RJ45. It's not SFP plus. Thank goodness. And we'll have videos on that coming up in the next few weeks. So not just computer builds, not just mini PC reviews. We're also doing routers, switches, and we'll explain managed switches. I've never done it before, and it should be educational for me, especially since I've never used one. Okay, I think that's everything I wanted to get off my chest. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'll check my phone one last time just to see if anything came through. And again, thank you to all of our members, everybody who's joined us in the chat. We're so happy to have you. Certainly love the kindness and support you give each other. That's really what's important. Mike's Unboxing Review says, do you have an AliExpress affiliate link? Could be another revenue stream. Well, here's why I don't. a company has to pass all of my tests, right? So I'll give you an example. A company named Zulu, XULU, came out with a mini PC, and they were sending them to content creators. And it was just this funky looking mini PC that they claimed was, the fastest, and it was very expensive, and I think it was Indiegogo or, one of those funding sites. And they shipped it to me, and it wasn't working. I said, well, how do I fix it? Well, you got to send it back to us in China. Well, shipping from the US to China, that little box was several $100s for shipping. If I went to the United States Post Office, it was around $60. I said, so how do you do the warranty? And they said, well, you ship it to us, send us a copy of the receipt, and we'll refund you that $60, right? They looked it up on the computer, because I'm like, how am I going to ship this? It's too expensive. They said, okay, USPS, they did all the research. They're the cheapest. It's $60. When we get it, we'll fix it. We'll send it back to you. So it's going to be a couple weeks getting from the US to China on a slow boat. And they're going to repair it. That's how small of a company they are. They're not just going to send me another one. Don't worry about it. We'll send you another one. That would have been the smart idea. So they said, we'll repair it. We'll figure out what's wrong. We'll fix it, and we'll send it back. That whole process is going to be 6 to 8 weeks. And 6 of that is going to just be shipping. All right? Now, let's say I'm here and I'm telling my viewers, the same as I tell my real-life customers, you should buy this off AliExpress. And they don't receive it, or they ship the wrong thing. They're not happy with their purchase. I feel as though because I stood behind it and I recommended it, it's my responsibility to replace it or fix it or make it right, just like I would do with a real-life customer. And I can't do that with AliExpress. Therefore, I don't recommend them. If I can't recommend that to a customer, I'm not recommending it to my viewers. That's the issue. AliExpress, to me, is a gamble. But if I'm promoting it, if I have a link to Amazon, or if I have a link to Acronis, RoboForm, VIP CDK deals, these are solid companies that I can resolve any issues with in the rare occasion they should occur. I have a solution for any problem you will have with any of these companies. And it's very rare. These are great companies and they've got great customer service, but every once in a while, something happens and I say, bring it to my attention. So my question for you is, as a content creator, if you're making recommendations for people to buy at places and they have a bad experience with that, how do you feel like, well, that's not my problem, that they made that transaction with them, they didn't make it with me? I don't feel that way, and I'm not saying, I'm guessing, but I think that's how most creators feel. They just go, well, that's between you and them. But I'm the one recommending it, then I'm the one that needs to find a solution. So my viewers have peace of mind that if I'm recommending something, you're going to be safe. But Amazon, you have 30-day returns for any reason, right? So anyway, I don't know how if somebody came to you, and I don't know if this has happened, Mike, but if somebody came to you and said, hey, I bought that thing using your AliExpress link, and it's a piece of crap, and they won't refund my money, and you're the one who recommended I buy it, what are you going to do? Has that ever happened to you? Mike's Unboxing replies, we offer viewers the choice to use eBay, Amazon if you want to play it safely, but if you want to save a few dollars and take a risk, that's on them. Giving them a choice is my personal preference. That's fair. Sometimes people don't hear everything correctly, and they don't hear the part about this is a risk. If you want to go to AliExpress, you're on your own. I appreciate that. But I wouldn't say that to a customer. So I don't know what your career is, Mike. I don't know you that well. You seem like a great, very knowledgeable guy. You seem like you're in tech professionally. So I've been in tech working on systems for clients for over 30 years. And I need my clients to know that if I do the work, it's going to be done right the first time. If something goes wrong with my work, I take responsibility and I fix it and I make it right. I give my customer every reason to stay my customer, right? I don't want to give them a reason to leave. I want to build my business, and building it on referrals and people recommending me. That is the only way I've grown my business. So if a customer says, we need a smart switch, I go, no problem. I order it from AliExpress so I make more profit. Then I install it over at my customer's office because they don't know how to install it. I get it all installed and configured. I collect the money for my time and the part, and I made a little extra money because I bought the part from AliExpress. And now, 6 months later, the switch is dead. I get a call, Carey, the switch you sold us and installed is dead. I mean, you said that had a warranty, right? Well, I can't honor that warranty. They need a switch right now. Their whole business is down. So I have to buy something that I can get quickly, that I can support, that represents me. So if I'm selling crap, then I appear to be crap because I'm the one selling it to my customers. And I treat my viewers exactly the same as I treat my customers. If I would not recommend AliExpress to a viewer, to a customer, if I wouldn't do it myself, I wouldn't suggest you do it. But I understand you have a disclaimer, and I respect that. And that disclaimer is, hey, you're going to AliExpress or eBay. There's a lot of fraud on eBay. There's a lot of shipping delay and issues with support from AliExpress. But if you want to go that way, you're on your own. Whereas I would say, don't do it. Just don't. It's not worth it. But I respect that, and I'm glad that you have that disclaimer. But just to explain why I do it the way I do it. AC's Drafting with a $20 super chat says, looks good, Carey. Thanks for sharing. Right on. Thanks, AC's Drafting. Mike's Unboxing says, yeah, I hear you, and I totally agree. I always make 100% sure they know the pros and cons. Well, there you go. Mike's giving you both sides, and he's letting you make the decision. I got nothing but respect for that. I would rather it didn't go that route if you're going to involve me in it. Like if you take that risk and it doesn't work out for you, and you start calling me for help or emailing me for help, I'm like, oh. If you're a member, I don't mind helping you. But let me tell you a little story. I guess this video is going to run long. And this is a story for Mike, because I don't know if he ever saw it. I had a viewer watch me do a build video, part by part, piece by piece, and he decided he was going to buy those exact same parts and build exactly what I built. And I mentioned that I saved a little money by buying some items that are returned on Amazon, as long as it's coming from Amazon warehouse, right? But I also said there's a chance parts could be missing. There's a chance that it might need... basically, if you're not a technician, if you're not really, really good and familiar with computers, don't buy the return stuff. It's not worth the savings. Well, he didn't hear that part. That must have been the part where he went to the bathroom or something. So he buys all the parts for the build, exactly what I built. But he buys a returned motherboard because it was $20 cheaper. $20 cheaper. He builds it exactly the way I show it. And Windows won't install. It gets to the second boot and it just blue screens or it freezes. So he emails me and he says, hey, these are the parts and da-da-da-da. And I haven't built a computer before, or I haven't built one for 15 years. What's wrong? What do you think is wrong? I'm like, well, if I were you, I'd get a different flash drive, put your Windows on that, see if it's a flash drive compatibility problem, unplug anything USB but your keyboard and your mouse. We're going through everything, okay? The long and short of it is he sent the motherboard back for replacement. He sent the NVMe drive back for replacement. He sent the RAM, the power supply, every single part Amazon replaced for free, and he still had the same problem. So he says, I've done everything. What else is left, Carey? Well, it turns out he was in Phoenix. And I said, I'll fix it. He goes, well, what's that going to cost? I go, I'll do it for free because what you're explaining is not possible. What had happened, again, here's what's happened. Somebody fat-fingered the date in the BIOS on the first motherboard. So the BIOS was set to the year 3243 or something. And Gigabyte was not enforcing the date range. Normally it'll say enter a value for the year and it could be as low as this or as high as that. And if you exceed that, it'll either just stop at the highest number or the lowest number, right? It won't let you, it'll say, you know, this is your range. And somebody fat fingered it. They were probably trying to type 2023 or 2022 and they ended up typing 3032. There's no reason to go into BIOS and do that. But here's what we learned. Because Gigabyte's BIOS accepted that date, even though it was outside of the date range, it didn't enforce it. So Windows is loading, right? And Windows goes, oh, it's 2032, and the whole thing crashes. It just stops. So you put a brand new NVMe drive in there, you start Windows again, it still gets the 3032 date from the BIOS, and it repeats the same thing. So you get a new motherboard, you put the motherboard in, put the NVMe drive back in, and you put that back up, and you think it's going to finish the install. The install still thinks it's 2032 and tells the BIOS and programs the BIOS to 2032. Now there's another motherboard that won't boot. This was our Y3K problem that we exposed and we diagnosed live on camera. And that was a long diagnosis. And the audience, our viewers, helped us so much with diagnosis. Carey, did you see the date in the BIOS? No, why would you even go in there? So I look and the BIOS is set to like 3032. So I change it back to 2023 or 2022, whatever the year was. I reboot thinking now Windows will finish, and Windows goes back and sets the date to 2032. It's still in the process of loading and it's programming the BIOS back to 2032 again. Okay, so here's what I have to do. I have to shut the computer down, basically get back in the BIOS, put the date right again, boot from the Windows media, don't let it boot from the NVMe drive, start over again. And as you start to install Windows 10 or 11 and it says, where do you want to install it? Delete all the partitions from your previous attempts so the drive is completely blank, and then install it and everything works fine. All of this because he wanted to save $20 on a return board. So then I got it in my head, if Gigabyte BIOSes do this, how many returned Gigabyte BIOSes are there at Amazon that all they need is a date change in the BIOS? And we found a few of them and we saved a lot of money. And I think I bought a box of 20 of them. And I think out of, maybe it wasn't 20, it was 10. And I think out of the 10, 3 of them had the BIOS date wrong. That's all it was. And of course, I had this published all over the world with regards to tech news. I was trying to pressure Gigabyte to act on it, and they did eventually fix it. And we tried replicating this problem on Asus, ASRock, and MSI. None of them accepted a date that high. And other Gigabyte boards wouldn't accept a date that high. It was a certain model or range where they were not enforcing the date range. And so when the video was published, Y3K problem, people think, well, what do I have to worry about? We're a long way away. So I guess that wasn't a very good title for it. But you know what I'm saying? Like, I felt bad. This guy did everything I said to do, used the parts I recommended, and he replaced everything. He did everything he could do. And I felt a responsibility to fix it for free for 2 reasons. One, it's my fault. He followed everything I said. He did everything I said, except he shouldn't have bought that returned board unless he was a more technically minded person. But 2, I couldn't believe what he was explaining. I said, there's no way possible you can replace every part and still have the same problem. Oh, yes, there is. And I learned. And for me, that was my payment, right? I learned that. And we learned it together. The whole audience was there where we were diagnosing it. I love it. I love that. So, of course, I did that for free. I should have paid that guy. That's great content. But you think when Windows is installing, if it requires a date range, why is Microsoft, when you're installing Windows, not checking the date and making sure you're within the allowed range for the operating system? And why did Gigabyte not enforce the BIOS date? So we have two faults here. If Windows 10 or Windows 11 is going to crash after 3032, I think we have a whole article about it online, what causes it. It's a bit technical. Then why wouldn't they add a line of code that, well, Windows installs, it checks that before it begins and says, hey, you can't install this, you're beyond the date range, fix the date, try again. That's a real easy fix. It's probably a line or two of code. And furthermore, why didn't Gigabyte enforce the BIOS date range the way they do on other boards, and every other of their competitors all do it? We could not replicate this problem on any other manufacturer's board. So it kind of worked out for me, right? Good content. But that's why I do it that way. Wrap it up, she says. I'm getting the. Is that
You're swirling.
We got Mike's unboxing and review. We have a special guest.
You need to
We have a special
private conversation.
Yes,
with
we
that
need to
gentleman.
bring Mike
We have
on.
a lot to discuss,
Yeah.
and you should have a private
He's a very
conversation
interesting
with
guy. He's a very interesting guy.
Yes,
I
and-
like him. I like his channel.
You should
And I
totally
think
have
people
that
should check him out.
conversation Not on camera.
I think the audience enjoys it. It's not
during
personal.
a broadcast.
We're not
It's
having a
supposed to be
personal.
about this
These
book.
things I'm explaining to him, I bet you many of my viewers were like, I never heard this story.
Then decide during the video, if you guys choose to do one together, what to talk about and what to share.
All right, let me check the phone one more time, and she's telling me to wrap it up. Do we have anything from Gregory Howard?
I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, we haven't. So Gregory, I don't know what you've sent, if you've sent anything. A thank you to Frankie B, of course, and William Denton. William Denton? Yes. Of course, Buster Oystein and Paul Gray. These guys are super members. And without them, we certainly wouldn't have some of this content, especially stuff like this. And a thank you to all of you, whether you're green, white, blue. It's all about the community. It's not really about the content. It's about the community. And we just love this community. And we're so glad you're a part of it. Now that I'm wrapping up, Mike is apologizing, Mara. It's not your fault. It's me. You get me started. Anybody gets me started anything, I'm off on a tangent. I'm having a good time. No harm is done. I enjoy talking to you. I enjoy talking to all of you. Thank you for hanging out with us. That's going to wrap it up for today. I will see you all again very, very soon. All of these parts are listed in the notes below the video, along with the promotions that I offer and stand behind. And be sure and check out the video notes. Mara spends a lot of time on them. Follow us on Twitter for the latest updates as well. I will see you all very, very soon. I'm not sure when we're going to do part 2. I hope to do it tomorrow, if not Sunday. Otherwise, and in addition, please enjoy your weekend, and we'll catch you all next time. Until then, bye for now.